think it's time we well, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time that we go through and give this a shot. So, I am going to start this a little bit earlier because I have some things to talk about, some actual somewhat serious things to talk about before we get to this, I guess, main show. I'm also going to need to mess with some stuff beforehand, but for the most part, there's a couple things to talk about. Welcome everybody. We'll be getting started shortly. I'm just setting up the last things, but I think some of the things that are most important to talk about, especially with this upcoming, and I'm gonna get the countdown because we got about an hour to go. But there is a lot of things that need to be talked about in regards to this launch. A lot of things. I'm gonna have to, of course, charge my camera in a sec too. But like, there's a lot of things to talk about, and I think it's a good idea to kind of talk about those before the release. A couple of those that I want to talk about is like, of course, EVGA. They have like their the whole shenanigans with that. There will probably be RTX 4090, some type of wish video, I'm sure. Um, but I think for the most part, EVGA, that whole kind of situation with that, there's probably some stuff going on. Huh. I really do think this has to be a substantial launch if they actually want to produce anything decent. Let me get a window capture going. I want to see. Let's see. There we go. Okay, and I'm gonna put this up high too. Put that down there. And why is that? There we go. I don't know why that's. Let me see if I can make that opacity a little bit better. But no, I think there's a lot to discuss here. If you just give me a sec to set up everything so we're all good to go. Um, and I think we can have a serious discussion here. Remove this. Yes. Move. That's not what I'm trying to do. Do it through this. Window capture. Filters. Remove. Yes. Yes. And yes. Okay. So this is directly from their live stream. I will put this down here in the corner so people can. So we're basically in kind of the pre stuff. Here we go. So things to talk about. I know a lot of you guys, this is kind of like the usual thing where we talk about EVGA, the whole shenanigans with that. I think that's a fair one to talk about. I might reorganize this real quick. Hold up. Let's put video capture device up here. Drop this down, and then we'll just put this here as we talk. So I think a lot of things to talk about. First off, you have what is it, the RTX stuff, in regards to EVGA exiting the market, which I mean, there's a lot you can discuss there. Like, why did EVGA exit the market? You have stuff to discuss about like the crypto crash. You have that happening, of course. I'm also gonna need to plug in my camera real quick, but yeah, I think there's a lot we can discuss, and that's why I wanted to start the stream early. So let me go see if I can find a power cord real quick. I'm definitely going to need one. And then we'll get started. Actually, I might end up just grabbing an extra power bank and just doing it that way. Hold up, boys. I will be right back. Explain to Okay, everybody. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's talk about a couple things. Power for my camera, because this is not going to last the entire time if I choose to record this. Hi guys, this is ASMR. There we go. So we have power. Good. Okay. So let's talk about a couple things. So things that I want to discuss, of course, is that like in context of Nvidia, there is a lot of questions about how good this has to be in order to justify the average person going through and upgrading. For example, if you wanted to be somebody who has like a 3080, that's a pretty standard, I say decent card. Well, for example, we'll just go with the 3090 Ti, top tier card. I saw one on Newegg for about maybe $900. 990, $950. So the biggest thing is the $950 is, what is it, 600, almost $550 cheaper than it launched at MSRP. So the 3090, oh, I'm sorry about that. Mute my mic. But the 3090 Ti launched at $150, and if it's on Newegg for $950, it's $550 less than MSRP. And in that case, you're looking at something in which the most, hopefully this is like not dying. But in that case, you're looking at something that is at most maybe like $500 under MSRP. And I think if Nvidia tries to stick with the same mentality and they launch a 4090 Ti with, say for example, an MSRP of $2,000, and it's only 30% better, that's going to be very hard to justify for a lot of gamers. If the price is, for example, I don't know, 1,500 and it's 30% better, well, that's going from a $1,500 4090 versus a 4090 Ti versus a $1,000 3090 Ti. And if that's only a 30% increase, that might be close to justifiable. And that's the other thing too, is it is in Nvidia's best favor for them to post all of these leaks, to have all these leaks come out, because this implies that people should wait. And if I really do hope that it is 40% better, 50%, well, 90% faster, some people are saying. I really do hope that's the case, but it is going to be very hard to justify that to other people if it's priced 50% higher than the MSRP of the 40 or 3090 Ti. It's not going to cut it when it comes to gamers. And like, it's going to be hard to justify, why do I spend $2,000 on a card that's, 30% better perhaps? The other thing I find interesting is that in the past, Nvidia has always had cards be marginally better. I mean, I'm not talking about like, yes, we've really never seen something along the lines of double the performance over a generation. If we did, I mean, this would be the time to do that. Definitely given the current graphics card prices and stuff, they're going to have to make a compelling case. But the fact that those rumors suggest some of these cards have just been sitting around in warehouses since August pretty much, it's going to be interesting to see why they chose to release them now after the crypto crash rather than waiting for, or why they're releasing them before it crashed. I think, yeah, you want it to go into gamers, but we knew that the Ethereum merger was happening. And I mean, if you look at anything related to like, what are we talking about? Power performance doubled too? Okay, so here's the thing. Even if the power doubles, so for example, what a 3090 is a 350 watt card, you're looking at 650 watts. Like that's flat out ridiculous in terms of power draw. So, I mean, sorry, I plugged in a power for the camera because this is actually running off of a little Sony RX. But I guess my point is power draw. If the power draw is unjustifiable too, it's going to require people to, buy power supplies. And I think, that's going to be interesting all on its own. You might have power supplies get more expensive. I mean, there's a lot of questions to ask yourself. And I mean, most of them come around pretty much how much are you willing to upgrade? I mean, right now, a lot of people just got cards. And if you have a 3080, 3090 Ti that you got for $1,000 off a Newegg, which I saw, are you really going to justify a $2,000 4090 Ti that's 30% better? If it's stuck, like, I mean, that's kind of the situation people are running into. If the 750 watts is a minimum for running a 3080 Ti, not a power supply, that's probably how much power draw it potentially pulls. So I think there's a lot to consider in this context. And it is going to be very interesting to see, as I said, how they market this. Because if they, as I said, the leaks are in their favor. If they push all of these leaks, I mean, the power supply one's not so much how much power it needs. But if they push these leaks in a way that, kind of supports them in the sense that they push the leaks so that the people with money hold off because there's a 40 series coming out and it's substantially better. And then those people wait and they buy and they didn't buy the used stuff. There's also a potential that this is marginally better. Like as in the past, like 10 or so generations from Nvidia, that it's only 20 to 30% better in performance over the previous generation. There's a potential for that. And if that is the case, then that's going to cause a run on all those people that were waiting for the 4000 series. It's going to cause all the people actually to just rather upgrade to a 3000 series. So I think regardless of what happens, I think Intel has some GPUs that they're working on, albeit they're not so far along. AMD has graphics cards that they're working on, I'm sure. So I think the big thing to talk about, though, is I don't see... How do I say this? AMD has done a good job, but I just want to say maybe the brand perception for at least in terms of their graphics cards is not where it needs to be. I know a lot. I browse a lot of like things online. A lot of people do have problems with it, at least from what I've seen. I do have actually 2 AMD graphics cards that we use for editing, but and we've had not as many issues with those. But I do say that maybe AMD brand perception, at least in context and competition to this, and especially with Intel getting in there and also making graphics cards, I also think there's a potential that Nvidia has to, of course, substantially increase their performance there. Let me see what some comments are saying. AMD needs to consistently be competitive in graphics cards for a few years. I would agree, because if you look at what happened with Ryzen, I would say Ryzen was a phenomenal job, that they pretty much they broke into the market, I would argue. The performance was good. I bought, back in 2017, I bought a 1800X, and I bought that, and that was really good. And I liked that, but the Ryzen was the break into the market. It was substantially more competitive than anything they'd put out before. It wasn't a power hog, which I hate to say that power is getting thrown out the window as power supply technology has increased. Like, I don't know if you guys have noticed that in the past, but in years past, power supplies are getting better and better, cheaper, and we see consistently graphics cards and CPU manufacturers consistently upgrading the amount of cost in terms of like power that we're seeing. So you're seeing, CPUs jump up in price. You're seeing graphics cards jump up in price. Now that's not a hindrance. And I feel like it's really weird for them to be, yeah, I mean, I want double the performance, sure. But will consumers really notice if it costs double the power or it costs double the electricity? And I think that's also something that we have to consider. I mean, if you have a 3080 Ti, for example, that's great. And I mean, that's good. Hopefully that will last you. And I hope that like all the cards that they try to get rid of stock wise, I hope they are good. I mean, I'm really interested to see how this plays out. Um, and I mean, I might be looking at getting a 4000 series. It depends. I mean, I'll certainly make a video on it if I do, but that all depends on how well it's justified. If you're only spending, I don't know, if you're only spending maybe $1,000 on something that's double a 4090 Ti, I don't think there's any question that those will be off the shelves. Another question to ask yourself while we're talking here is what at what point do you think scalpers will be all in it? Because keep in mind, there's graphics cards now, and there is a crash in the cryptocurrency. So basically, I'm sure scalpers at first will always be on it. Scalpers will scalp, right? They'd love to do that stuff. But at what point will the supply have to exceed the demand? Also, since we have rumors of these cards sitting in warehouses for so long, I think there is also a potential that they have a good enough stock that they can sell these at launch, which I would be interested to see if they, I mean, I would assume they've learned things from the last, couple years. I would also assume that there was a lot of negative stigma and press towards Nvidia recently, especially with the EVGA fiasco, which it's hard to gauge how true that is without hearing both sides. But I think Nvidia is, I mean, arguably EVGA seems very legitimate in their claims. But there's also always a second side of the story. In addition, you have something regards like, I mean, that whole situation is just wild. But then also you have stuff in regards to like during the pandemic, the gamers and stuff, they wanted to try to get their hands on these cards and they couldn't. And it was because Nvidia was just selling them just flat out. So yeah, and there's also rumors that Nvidia sucks to work with. So I definitely think it is extremely, as I said, yeah, it's just extremely interesting to see how this plays out. And I want to thank you all for tuning in to listen to this and talk. And hopefully, please chat or whatever. And I'll try to do my best to like read this stuff and include you in the conversation. But yeah, thanks for tuning in too. But no, I really do think Nvidia has some press issues, if that makes sense. That not coming from us. I'm not going to make comments on Nvidia because it's Nvidia. I mean, I'll make comments here, but I'm not going to make a dedicated video on it. But no, I think Nvidia has a lot of issues with the mindset that consumers have about their products now, and especially like brand opinion, maybe. I think a lot of people are in the boat that they are stuck with Nvidia because it's the best, not that they want to be with Nvidia. And I think that if Nvidia pushes ahead with this, sure, that's awesome. But we also have the issue where they just need to have some competition. Because look what Intel and AMD did. Like Intel was on like the 7th generation of a 4-core, 8-thread processor. And now you look and we've got a 4-core, or what is it, 16 cores, 32 cores on a single socket. And that's in, well, we're talking stuff up in like 100 something cores on single sockets. So it just blows me away that we've gone from Intel doing that to, let me see if I can focus a little bit, but just gone away from that huge of a leap. So make sure I have battery. So yeah, we got plenty of battery. Okay, how much do we have? 78. We'll see. But I think graphics card prices are going to change. It depends. If this is a substantial launch and the price of these graphics cards get up high enough, I think we're overheating the camera, so we'll see how long this lasts. If I need to switch, I probably need to get a backup camera if worse come to worse. But I think if we need to switch in terms of price, we'll see. I really do think though, yeah, it depends on how much of a difference these cards make. Like if they propose no value or that the cost to performance ratio exceeds the cost to performance ratio of the 30 series, it's going to be hard to justify. And I think that's a question we have to raise ourselves if we're going to be making, that kind of conversation. Like, is it particularly worth it for you to go through an upgrade? I really, and I've never been rooting for Intel and AMD more, in the sense that Nvidia pretty much was, I want to say, not monopoly. You had the option to go with AMD, and anything sold during the crypto, like the dark ages of the graphics card shortage. But it just seems like everyone would rather go have some competition. And I think there's nothing wrong when saying that. I think fanboys will tell you that, oh, you should like Nvidia, AMD, Intel. I mean, Intel doesn't really have fanboys at the moment for their graphics cards, but okay, regardless, fanboys aside, guys, you should want what's best for you, what's cheaper, all of that stuff. So don't let someone tell you that you should go with a brand because they like the brand. I mean, arguably, the fact that 3090s have come down substantially, I mean, we're talking $500, either shows you that they know the next couple gen cards are bad, or good, sorry, are good, and they're trying to compare them. Or there's probably some other, maybe they have a surplus. So, also, let's talk about the EVGA situation. I'm going to just start by saying that this is entirely speculative. I don't know anything that's going on with the EVGA. But to raise some questions, why would EVGA exit their partnership? I mean, we can talk about the fact that there is, for example, something, I don't know, maybe the 40 series is just not good, okay? Let's raise that speculation that the 40 series is not good. And EVGA did not want to be a part of that. That's a potential for them leaving. I'm not saying that is the case, not saying that whatsoever. That is just a potential option. A couple other potential options is maybe they were getting pretty much, I want to say they were losing substantial money on the cards. Maybe because NVIDIA set a price for them, said that these cards have to sell for this, or, we're only going to give you these cards, negotiated a price for them. They said, I'm only going to give them to you for $1,200. And now they're going on market, the 3090 Ti, I'm just using 3090 Ti's because that's like the standard. And now they're going on market for $1,000. So they're losing $200 a card, which would be justifiable there as well. So I think there's a lot of reasons why EVGA could exit the market. And the fact that they already went through and made these engineering samples is it's a very interesting choice. And I think that that's also something to consider, is either the profits for the board partners are not good, or NVIDIA is making steps in stride to basically develop the supply chain so they can be a full system integrator, and basically just sell the graphics cards flat out directly from NVIDIA and not have any board partners. Like, I mean, there's a lot of potential options here, and I'm speculating. All of this is speculative. I think, honestly, if you're looking at purchasing a graphics card right now, we'll have to see what is going to be the, I don't know, what this is going to talk about, what this is going to release, because there is a big potential that this doesn't, and I might just open this up a little bit, put this up here, but that way you guys can see what we're talking about here. And I wonder if I can do this. I can make it look somewhat like I'm on the screen, maybe not, but I think a lot of stuff to consider, of course, is just simply that this has the potential to be good or bad, and a lot of ripples will be caused by this. Like, I think scalpers might be worth scalpers' time to go for this. If it's only 30% better, then, like, I mean, it just is so much in NVIDIA's favor for them to say, oh yeah, these are 70% better, because then all the people that were going to buy the graphics cards that have money, they're going to wait, and they're like, oh yeah, I'll wait. And it turns out maybe it's not that good. And all of a sudden, now we have a run on the 30 series. So it just depends very heavily on what is actually going on. And I'm going to make sure that I have desktop audio set up. Okay, we're all good to go. So we're all good to go. Okay, so we already know the performance is 2 times better. I mean, I hope it's 2 times better. I genuinely hope it's 2 times better. I hope that it's 2 times better, that the performance is good, and it's priced like a 3090. I really do. I don't. Sometimes corporations have a weird way of doing things, and they have like these weird expectations that they're going to meet so much profit, and they have to set a certain price. And I don't know. Also, something I've kind of talked about as well is that Nvidia in historical, because we've done this, we've covered these product launches for the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 generations. Every time, like for the 20 series, their 30 series, and now the 40 series. And every time, I don't know if you know this, but they use like copyrighted music that gets us creators demonetized. Like every time. Is weird, and it's usually like some weird, I want to say, sly attempt at getting our ad revenue, which my ad revenue is not particularly much at all from this stream, but I just found it odd that they continuously do use some type of copyrighted music, and they make like claims to demonetize your videos from that, even though we're covering it and this is clearly fair use. So, I mean, I don't know what brand of fair use that happens when you're covering content and that content uses copyrighted music, because you're using it for commentary and criticism, which is clearly fair use, but they're using copyrighted music in order to get the creators ad revenue, which we're covering this and giving technically free press to. So I found that very interesting. That's also something that we've noticed in years past that Nvidia has done as well. So let's talk. Anybody want any topics you guys want to talk about? Feel free to. I'm opening up the floor. I think there's a lot of questions. We've already talked about, the TDP and stuff, thermal applications. I mean, I did see some stuff with the cards being 4 slots, which we're starting to see some of the leaks and stuff that you don't see, like an SLI connector, which is expected since SLI is kind of getting phased out. We've got like 4 slot cards now, which at some point they're not going to be able to A, support that in the case, or B, get any realistic usage out of, because it's that big. So I think 4 slot cards are going to be insane if that actually exists. Okay. Honestly, it's gonna be so weird. So price drops. Okay, let's go down the list of a couple comments. Should I trade in my 3080 to a 3090 Ti because of price? It all depends on today. That's really what it depends on. Waiting for a $300 4090 Ti short video. Well, that will definitely happen, I'm sure. We will definitely be covering that. Nvidia rebranding the 4070 Ti to the 3080 Ti as in, I don't know. We'll see what the rebranding looks like. I mean, honestly, it all depends. I think TDP are high due to high clocks. Okay, but in the past, Nvidia and all these board partners, all these companies that make graphics cards, they have always had high, like, costs, right? They have always had high costs and high TDP, but TDP hasn't changed much for like a good couple years. And then all of a sudden they're like, you know what? Consumers really don't care about how much power these are drawing. Let me go through and start upping the cost. Which, if you don't notice, some of these cards do take a substantial bit in power. Like, yeah, you're paying $2,000 up front, and you're paying like $20 a month in electricity if you're seriously gaming on it, which I would assume if you're paying for a nice card, you're probably seriously gaming on it. So it's also a question to raise yourself. And I think that, like, for me, believe it or not, I have a 3060 Ti because all I do is I play Minecraft and edit videos. So I know that's not just, I mean, yes, it's starting to struggle with editing videos, but like for the most part, I don't really have much issue with it. And in that context, I hope this is good. And I hope that I can, like, I don't know, talk and work and maybe get something, like sponsor something, and I can purchase one of these new cards and make a video on it. But like for the most part, I don't know, I'm content because I only paid like, I think $300, $200 for a 3060 Ti in the height of the crypto, situation. So I was good, and that's not. And I know a lot of YouTubers have all the fancy things. That's not really what we cover. Um, I mean, believe it or not, I like to have somewhat adequate hardware, but not like anything crazy. Um, so wait for the AMD cards. I honestly think if this is 30 to 40, if this is 70% better than the last generation, AMD is going to fall by the wayside. I mean, I don't know what, especially because if you look at industry trends, you're looking at a consistent upgrade of maybe 20 to 30%. So here, I'm also going to play some Minecraft real quick. I'll just work on some stuff, game capture, while we wait, so that it's not like anything wild. I'm going to put this in the bottom corner so you guys can like listen to me and talk or whatever. But for the most part, I just think that it's going, I'll put this up top too. But and I'll also make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see what we're looking at here. But like, there's a lot to consider here. And I think the justifiable part, let me get my Twitter, but I think the most justifiable part, of course, is just that we have a lot to consider. And I'm gonna see if I can get this a little bit set up in a different way so I can see stuff. But for the most part, yeah, I think there's a lot to consider. Okay, AMC, so it depends. If AMD can manage to pull off some type of, I want to say, generational leap to match Nvidia, you're going to be looking at something, I would say, substantial. You're going to be looking at good competition. I just find it highly unlikely that Nvidia and AMD are going to be on par this generation. If Nvidia pulls out that 30 to 40% gain or 70% gain in performance that they've been talking about, that's going to be very difficult for them to, AMD to match. And I think it's unreasonable to expect that Nvidia or Intel will pull something off on that magnitude when they've been consistently expecting those 30 to 40% gains. I mean, you would hope that they would realize that there is a problem with the market and they need to provide something very competitive. But I don't know if that's really the case. I don't know if, I mean, I think Nvidia might have that foresight, but I mean, I don't know if AMD or all these other companies will. And I mean, also, I'm going to put the link if you guys want to apply for this Minecraft server. If you're interested, that should be in the description. I'm not trying to, like, that's not what we're doing here. We're not advertising. I'm just, technically we are, but basically I'm just playing while we do something, give it a little bit of entertainment. I think, I really do hope sincerely that we see some type of large enough increase that it's justifiable for the average person. I am fine AF. Well, great. You should talk to my girlfriend about that one. Let's see. AMD will definitely be competitive this generation. I don't know if basically, I don't know if a corporation would look at something and expect their competition to pull 70% performance increase for the first time in like 8 or 9 generations. I don't know if I would expect that to happen. So as a regular builder, I mean, or as a regular like consumer, I just don't know if that would happen or not. So it makes me question. I mean, I hope it is. Like, I'm not trying to root for the negative. Like, I'm always trying to say, you know, maybe there'll be something a little bit better. I hope it increases. Like, I'm not trying to root for Nvidia not to do something. I'm just trying to be practical here. Like, there is a high probability that they just don't compete, in my opinion, if the leaks are true. I mean, if they're not true, then maybe, you know, it'll just be an average, I want to say like an average refresh, pretty much, to find some fucking fireworks. But let's see, fireworks. Okay, go to my base or whatever. But no, I think there is a lot to ask yourself, and I think that, is it justifiable? I hope it is. Is the specs justifiable? I hope it is. I hope that, like, everything, okay, ideal situation, everything is competitive. Intel produces something that's very on par. Well, actually, in order for Intel to break into the market, or AMD to break into the market more, they need to produce something that is better than Nvidia. that is the ideal situation. Ultimately, or proposes a better price for performance or performance proposition in some circumstances for it to be justifiable. And I don't think that's the case. I think that Nvidia does have probably the best engineers from the industry. So I think that in that case, it's going to be hard to justify that kind of proposition. And I mean, like, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things go. I mean, there is so much to consider. VRAM. I mean, honestly, what would be the ideal VRAM amount? Like, we've seen VRAM increase how much during the last couple generations? Like, we went from what, 8 gigabytes has been kind of a standard recently, and now we're finally going up to 12 on some cases. You're seeing, VRAM increases of maybe like, I don't know, 10, 20, I don't know, gigabyte. Maybe you see 20, 48 gigabytes, 24 gigabytes in some last couple generations. So I think 12 gigabytes was fine for the longest time. But like I've noticed, especially when like editing videos, I'm maxing that out now on an 8 gigabyte card. I've noticed that when I'm, going through and doing some CAD rendering for some of the 3D printing projects that we do, it's also seeing those substantial increases. So, I mean, there's a lot to consider when in context here, of course. The way that I see it, the next gen is going to be so stupidly fast in performance that people are going to be looking at either other ways of wattage, like wattage as a determination. So basically what you're saying is people are going to be so content with their card, or so content with getting one, that the only problem is they can't actually afford the like wattage of it, which I don't think most people seriously give serious thought to the amount of wattage that their cards are using. I think a lot of times people just, let me do this. I think a lot of times people just buy a card and don't really expect to, how do I say it? They don't really expect it to like take into account the price of it, of like how much it's going to cost wattage wise. So I am going to, oh, there went the camera, boys. That's always great timing. Let me see if I can find another camera. I don't know if I had another camera lined up. Let's see. Let's see what we can do, guys. Give me like 5 seconds. That would be the camera dying. I apologize. Give me like 2 seconds to fix that. I thought I had like fixed all this stuff. I thought we were good to go, but okay. Okay. I don't think this is gonna happen. Okay, I'll fix that. What can I do? I could probably. See if I can find another. Do. Give me a sec, y'all. Camera dead. It's good to have happen now, not when we're. Okay, let's try this. Sorry, guys. Just fixing the camera. Ah, here we go. I'll just do this. Let me do this. Okay, camera should be working. Give it a sec. I'll just boot up and we'll be good. Video capture device. This is gonna look entirely different. Video capture. Do. Okay. Come on, guys. Why is this not working? Come on. Let's see if I can snag another cam or something. I'll be back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's give this a shot. Get a backup camera. Okay, so let's see, video capture device. There we go. Oh, come on, bud. Okay, I got it, I got it. We're good, we're good. Cancel, filters. Remove, yes, please. Okay. So, there we go. We have the camera returns, and I have a little square camera that has a light on it. This is something we reviewed on the review channel. Anyway, are you gonna focus, button? Maybe. See if I can figure out how to put this. Should have gotten the stand for it, to be honest. Let's see. I don't want to put it on something important. Okay. Let's do this. There we go. So we're back to stupidity. But okay, so there's a lot of things to consider here. Let's start back up what we got here. So is RTX 5000 is going to need an IBM mainframe power supply? I think Nvidia making these steps to go through and basically just push the TDP up substantially is going to have ripple effects across the industry. Yes. I think that is definitely a reasonable possibility that Nvidia basically just goes through and they inspire the whole kind of industry to go through and disregard power consumption, which there is somewhat of a hard limit because at a certain limit, the computers themselves pull too much out of the wall that they will trip breakers. Like there is a theoretical limit on how much power you can get out of like a wall. So they are kind of stuck at that point. And I think that they are realizing that there is an easy way to offset more cost to the customer, which is the power, than they expected. They expected people really don't seriously consider how much power these cards are drawing. Like if you, in the lifetime of the card, you're maybe paying an extra $150 for like these 3090 Ti's in power. So it is cheaper to design a card that's less power efficient if that is what you're ending up doing. So yeah, it's 2000, I believe it's 2000 watts, around 2000 watts. And you need, and the other thing too is if you have 2000 watts and you put it on two different, plugs, and it has to be two different parts, like, breakers on your house or whatever, then maybe. But like, it's highly unlikely that that actually manages to get pulled off. And I think that's also something important to consider, is that just like the reality is 2000 watts is probably a hard limit, and they probably will not see much increase other than that. So I think like there are some companies that are going through and making like plugs, like special plugs, and requiring it to be hooked up to like 240 volts or whatever, which I mean is kind of interesting to say the least. I mean, power usage is a huge turnoff. Electricity prices are really bad in Britain for the moment. Yeah, it just depends on like what they're selling to. As I said, if they just like make these cards ridiculously expensive, there's no way that that's going to be justified. And I think that that's also something that has been kind of disregarded, if that says anything. I might just close this out and just have a serious conversation. Get rid of this. Yes. But no, we're getting close, so I'll just put this up. But no, there's a lot to consider, I guess, and I think that being an issue, a serious issue, is going to be the power. If this is really as power hungry as they expect it to be, it's a huge potential to cause some type of issue. Especially like you might see people complaining that they're like power, like also you guys might not realize, but when you start getting to those high power draws, especially if you're talking about like say for the average setup, you're talking about something that's pulling 2000 watts from just the computer. Then you're talking about maybe, I don't know, a couple hundred watts for like monitors, keyboards, speakers. I mean like all these kind of things. So maybe you're looking at maybe I'm gonna put in a really high number here, 2,500, like top tier max number. Maybe if you're a streamer, if you have a streaming setup, you're running 2 computers. And in that case, you're looking at something that's even worse. You're looking at maybe like 4,000, 5,000 watts. You're starting to get to the point where you're pulling like a lot of power off these, what is it, 120 volt rails in the United States. And the amount of heat that's going to generate from the wires alone is pretty substantial. So there, we may also see something. I mean, I don't know how practical this is because this is like just something I thought of, but like, there is the potential that like you may have more house fires, and I don't know if that's like just if it's pulling like not caused by the graphics cards, not directly caused by the graphics cards, not directly caused by any of the components on the computer. It's just a potential if you're pulling so much power. So we've always been skeptical of large power, large power draw anyway. So another thing I want to talk about too is if you look here, you've got, I just want to take a moment to actually put this into full screen again and talk about what we have on the screen before we get started. So interesting, first off, is that over here on the top, over here, we have Discord. We have some GeForce Garage build, broadcast recordings. You have like basically this looks like this is a live feed of someone's office, which I wouldn't be surprised if this was. In addition, you have a bunch of, like, this is a nice keyboard. I don't recognize it off the bat, but it is definitely a nice keyboard. We have the countdown. There's not much on this PC. This is a fresh build, regardless. There's a network drive. We've got, like, there's like a computer over here with some type of card in it. I think that looks interesting. Nice office chair, nice mouse. Looks like a cup of coffee. It's probably cold. A phone of some kind. Yeah, I think we've got a fair share of things. This light keeps lighting up. We got 30 minutes to go. Should have brought some water up here. But I think regardless, it will be interesting to see what they launch. I don't know if there's any hints. I don't know if you guys see any hints that they particularly are dropping, like anything that you would recommend that did anyone see anything that they want to point out? Like, I mean, I can put this down, but I don't see anything that's particularly like noticeable to me. Turn this down. I mean, we've got the standard stuff. Is there any hints? I mean, they got Discord. They've got a Discord server called Project Beyond. There's someone saying how much faster. I'm sure this was all like orchestrated by like the Nvidia like marketing department, I'm sure. But I can't find the channel, lol. Yeah, this is on like the GeForce. Yeah, this is on the GeForce website. Anyway, but I mean, like, it's very interesting to see, like, is that like a test bench over there? It looks like they have a test bench. It's just you're not seeing much. You have a green light that's coming on, of course. This whole scene is a 3D animation. Do we think this is animated or not? I mean, that's I'm gonna say no. I don't think this is. Let's see. I mean, I don't, do we think this, okay, question. Do we think this is a simulation? Not our life, but like this stream here. I doubt it, because you've got up in the top corner, you've got some pixelation, some out of focus. I think this looks, in my opinion, looks very real. I don't know if you guys can tell on your kind of situation here. I'm the admin of the simulation. Oh boy. You think that, okay, so you think that what we're looking at now is a simulation. Okay. I mean, that's a, yeah, you can already, okay, I think this one might, if this is a simulation, this is run on the graphics card, that'd be cool, but I think it's more practical that this is like, what is it, Jensen Huang's desk or whatever, and he just comes over here and sits down and starts talking. That would be another possibility. Do we think that this is going to be geared towards 8K gaming? And more importantly, do we think that 8K gaming actually justify or presents a justifiable use case? Like, what I mean by that is, do you think 8K gaming is worth it? Like that it has any practicality? Because 4K for me, I have a 4K monitor. Why, like for me, I couldn't tell you the difference between an 8K and a 4K monitor. I could tell you the difference between 60 and 120 hertz, but after you get to a point, like whatever the heck that's going on with like Apple, for example, you got like Apple that has like 120 hertz OLED screens, all that stuff, and they're just using, like, that's maxed out. And that's not just Apple, that's all the phone industries. Like, they are having difficulty coming up with new like things with the screen. So at some point, the cost to return ratio is going to fall by the wayside. Like, you are not going to get enough benefit by doubling the resolution as you would in previous generations. Like, the difference between 720 and 1080, 720 and what is it, 160, like all of these resolutions, that benefit was great. The benefit from 124 or 144 hertz was great. But at some point, I'm sure we'll be at 8K eventually, yes. But like, there is eventually going to be a point in which that's not the way that they're going to be able to improve. And I feel like there is a certain acceptable frame rate that companies like accept. Like, they're accepting whatever the main top tier new resolution has to play at like 60 FPS. Okay, sure. If that, it always has to play at 60 FPS and we upgrade to that. I mean, I think it's, if we always have to play at the highest new fancy resolution, and that highest new fancy resolution isn't popular anymore, it's going to cause a paradigm shift in the industry. I think 16K, but like, okay, if you're looking at a 32 16K monitor, you physically cannot see the difference between a 16 and maybe an 8K. Like, there's literally not enough pixels that would be able to determine the difference. Like, as I said, Apple, I have an Apple, so like, we're just going to use that for reference. Apple, you've got Retina displays, right? You got Retina displays. Those look indistinguishable. Like, assuming you have like OLED, all the new fancy features, those look indistinguishable for like from a certain distance away. Like, you couldn't tell any of the pixels. I mean, I do think there is a possibility that more features get added, like they make things look more realistic, and the performance, of course, increases in that context. Like, you have ray tracing gets evolved even more, better graphics. Sure, I definitely think that's a real possibility. However, I don't think the monitor peripherals are starting to become limited in the directions they can go, because I want to say monitor companies have either always had two options. They can either increase the resolution, or they can increase their frame rate, or sorry, refresh rate. And so they've always had those two options. And I think that like they're in a situation now where there is not enough like options for them to pull from if they want to increase the value of their monitors. And so that raises the question, graphics cards, instead of always just supporting higher resolutions at a decent frame rate, will have to optimize for the frame rates they already support. Yeah, so basically it's a pixels per inch ratio. Basically, if you're getting like something along the lines of like 16K in a 27-inch monitor, you're looking at like super high pixels per inch, which I think your eyes can only see so much. So like, honestly, it's not surprising to see that's the case. Also, I'm gonna go through and open this up to everyone now, so that I'm gonna turn it on to anyone can chat now. So So anyone can chat now. So we have all these new people coming in. I'm gonna be fair and just let them all. But I'm not trying to like sub grab here. You guys feel free to please let anyone talk. But I think the biggest thing, of course, is just going to be seeing. I want to see what some non-subscribers say. Like, I'm not trying to come over here and force people to subscribe. But anyway, welcome everybody. So hopefully we'll get you guys in here. Feel free to hop in if you're not a subscriber. I'm trying to be inclusive of everyone. You're not supposed to subscribe. I just wanted to open it up before we get to the main thing, and let everyone, a subscriber, have some time to talk. And then we have 20-some minutes, so you guys are welcome to talk too. But yeah. Oh, sorry. Basically, no, this is the official stream, guys. This is the official stream here. This is the official Nvidia stream I have pulled up right now. I'm just, because my situation doesn't look like that. But I think that there is a lot of potential for things to happen here. So if you guys who have not subscribed yet, you don't have to subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, let me know your thoughts. We're just having a nice conversation here. What do we think about these new cards? Any ideas, things that people want to talk about? We've got 20 minutes, so let's make good use of it. So I guess we were talking about earlier, is this a real scene or not? Because this was something that people were talking about. I would say I believe this is a real scene. Now the reason why is there's a lot of fine detail in this fabric, which is difficult to get right. You've also got, I don't know, for something about it, it looks too realistic. You've got like I will be thoroughly impressed because this is indistinguishable from real life. So if they manage to pull this off, then this is indistinguishable from real life. Because I don't see anything that really makes me question whether or not this is not real. Do we think this scene is real? I mean, that's the question. We wonder stock wise. Like, what do you think the stock is going to be for these cards? I do know that there has been rumors that these cards have been sitting around in warehouses for a long time. And I think in that case, if there's a lot of stock that's been sitting for a bit, they probably do have a lot of it, especially since they supposedly have delayed these cards repeatedly. So if we are looking at something in which stocks of these cards is going down from demand, I think there is enough stock that it should supply that. Stock will be small. I don't think so. I really don't. I think that they have enough stock. They might have learned their lesson because of the fact that there is simply enough time that they've had to prepare for this, because they have delayed, supposedly, rumoredly, delayed these cards time and time again because of how much crypto. Now, also, another conversation to have. Why did Nvidia choose to put these cards out after the crypto crash? Like, if you were a company, I don't know why you would just, like, especially since in the past, Nvidia has gone through and repeatedly basically just posted their cards, regardless of what the crypto market was, and they went to whoever. And now they waited till after the crypto crash to post all of their cards, or to release all these cards. So why did they choose to do that? Because for them, it would be financially beneficial for them to post it during the crypto craze. People would have been like, oh, well, these new cards just came out, let me buy them. All the miners would go out and buy them. So it's hard for them to justify, in my mind, justify waiting unless they really, like with the Ethereum merger, pretty much. I mean, have you seen some of the prices that these cards are going for? Like, I've seen stuff like people are scamming stuff. Like people are not scamming stuff, but putting like prices that you would have never expected, like $200, like 3070s. Like, this is really crazy, the amount of like, hey, the scalpers got fleeced. Like, the scalpers got it pretty good. Like, you want to talk about karma? Karma's pretty good. I've seen so many miners like on Facebook Marketplace, like mining rigs on Facebook Marketplace going for something like ridiculous, like $7,000 for 3 like 3060s. Like, the amount of money that people expect to get from some of this stuff on like Marketplace is insane. I also do get a little bit of fun of maybe saying that, messaging these people and saying I'm interested and then just never responding. But okay, another question. China-Taiwan conflict. Will that worsen this? If that happens, will that worsen supply? Taiwan, regardless of, like, we're talking political affiliation with China. I know that's a touchy subject. I think looking at it strictly from a tech perspective, Taiwan owns the majority of the silicon production. There is a reason why other countries, aka the United States, Europe, is looking into producing their own silicon because of the fact that it is ridiculously a monopoly for Taiwan Semiconductor. It is ridiculously a monopoly. So to say that you are looking at something where a world which Taiwan is not feasible, would mean that there would be a substantial price hike in graphics cards. Like if there's a war coming and that breaks out and there's a war going on over there, you should probably stockpile graphics cards, because graphics cards, anything silicon, processors, anything that is running on their or anything that's produced by TMSC is going to be flying up in price. And that is not something I would recommend this, like that's not investment advice, but I mean, I would buy graphics cards because that is how bad it would be. If it's a 2-year conflict, the United States, for example, which I don't know, I am familiar with the United States because I live in the United States. I'm not implying that that's the best country. It's probably not. I'm just saying that the United States, because I'm familiar with it, they have looked into and they're passing infrastructure that is supposed to encourage silicon production, but they are not anywhere close to the level that TMSC is or Taiwan Semiconductor. So for them to go through and have a war, Taiwan, China, and then the United States be stuck in an interesting predicament where they don't have any good silicon production places, they would then have to go through and basically build that from the ground up. And I don't think that's feasible to do in 2 years, especially when you're talking about like how small these are, like 3 nanometer, 5 nanometer processors. It is not going to be feasible for them to go through and build that up in the time that it takes. So that raises the predicament, how in the world would we get our processors and our silicon? And that will, of course, shoot up the price. Motherboards, anything that has silicon on it, which I don't think you guys realize, RAM has silicon in it. So anything that's a semiconductor. So you're looking at like MOSFETs, you're looking at basically any little part that is, I mean, I'm not saying that. So another thing I should point out too is silicon is not just exclusively Taiwan Semiconductor. It is the microchips that is Taiwan Semiconductor. So cars would go up in price because they have chips in them, silicon chips in them. We have pretty much a lot of things would go up in price. Anything like phones, for example. Apple has like their new chips or whatever in their thing. Those would go up in price. Like cameras, remotes, cars, TVs, anything that had any type of silicon in it, in regards to semiconductor processor silicon, would go up in price. So to justify it, it more than already for sure. So you don't want to, and YouTube keeps telling me I should insert ads. YouTube, you can go click off. But basically, silicon, if there was a conflict, the world would come, I want to say, to a screeching halt, in the sense that inflation would be astronomical. I know in the United States they're complaining about inflation. I know inflation is bad in Canada, Europe, all these other countries. I understand, but you have not seen inflation if you were in technology until you saw how much that would happen if Taiwan Semiconductor got knocked off or got knocked out because of the war. It would be like, you talk about okay, another question. You talk about the United States liking to go raid places because of oil. Like, I mean, that's a meme, and it's probably pretty true. You talk about, United States and oil, the world relies on silicon coming out of Taiwan Semiconductor. So if that were to have a conflict and that we were not able to get our silicon, it potentially would cause World War III. I really do see, I don't know what World War III would look like, but it would cause World War III in the sense that every other country would be involved in that conflict, because they would literally have massive inflation at home and they would have no choice but to go into that conflict. And I think China realizes that, and that's why we haven't seen much. Like, I mean, there's a lot of talk. I mean, I'm not a politics major or anything like that, but there is a real potential that if China pulls something with cutting off the supply of semiconductor coming out of China, that there is a lot of countries that will be very interested, since it's such a monopoly. And the United States is, as I said, passing infrastructure to make it so that we have more like in-house or in-country fabs, but we're nowhere close to reproducing what Taiwan has. Simply put, it's better. Like what Taiwan is doing is simply just ahead of, like, probably 5 years ahead of anything we could do here. Um, I understand Taiwan. Okay, so here's the other thing. Taiwan is not the only fab, but it is the majority. Like 90% of the world silicon comes out of TMSC. I believe that's the statistic. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But that is a massive amount. So yes, I am not saying all fabs are, but the useful percentage comes out of Taiwan. Nvidia makes their cards in Taiwan. Intel, I believe, maybe at one point had their own fabs. AMD makes stuff in TMSC. Basically, yeah. Basically, the entire world relies on Taiwan. Like, you talk about, like, no one particularly relies on oil to the same extent, and yet the United States has gone after oil. I mean, yes, oil is important for everyone, but no one has almost all the supply of oil. Taiwan has almost all the supply of silicon. So if something were to happen to Taiwan, it would be, yeah, it's basically like the only place there was oil was one country. Like, imagine what the United States would do with that. And that's because of the meme. I'm not implying that the United States would be the only one uptight about that. There would be plenty of other people. TMSC produces 92% of the silicon used in the US. I believe that's pretty close. So thank you for that statistic, but we got to admit that if 92% of the silicon is coming out of Taiwan, it would be stupid if anything happened. There would be massive inflation on technology. And I'm not taking sides on the whole, is Taiwan a country? That's not what I'm taking sides on. I'm just saying that it is Taiwan being able to supply other countries with silicon is a national security risk for countries, any country really. So, yeah, TSMC. Sorry, correction. I'm Taiwan Semiconductor. That's why I was saying Taiwan Semiconductor. I'm not good with little abbreviations, but thank you for correcting me. I think it's ridiculous to think that Nvidia and all these companies, well, yes, they make their products over there. They're such reliance that if that conflict occurred, there is a potential that I don't know, that there is a potential that there's a disruption in silicon production. That means there's a disruption in graphics card production, disruption in car chip production, microcontroller production. There's a lot. And hello, everybody. I see you guys hopping in here. Thanks for joining the conversation. But there is a real potential that there is a lot, and I mean a lot, of problems that arise from this. And you talk about inflation, it would cause inflation a lot of places. So I don't think people truly realize that, like, you don't want a conflict. Like, you want a peaceful outcome to whatever the heck the dispute is over there. And I'm not taking sides in it. I'm just saying you want a peaceful outcome, because if we get to the point where there's war, not only will there probably be, every country will be sending people over there, then you might even get to the point where there's drafts because of how much they're sending people over there. So you don't want a conflict. You want to just be nice and chill and have your graphics cards and play video games. And I mean, I know we all like to play our video games. Yeah. Yeah, I really don't think that, yeah, I know Taiwan is actually building more labs in other places because of fear of China. I know, like, Apple is manufacturing their stuff now in India over like China, because the labor is cheaper in India, which I find is interesting also because the cost of labor is now more expensive than other places. So they're seeing something similar that happened in the US, where basically everything was exported overseas. I'm not saying that, like, it's going to be it's a trend. It's not like that the United States is better, China's better, anything like that. It's just a trend that as the nation more develops, they export their cost of production overseas, or to other nations where it's cheaper, especially because now China's, like, taking, demand. They're taking a large portion of the demand, things like that. So China's become a real market too, and at some point they'll exceed the US in, like, economic, basically, I want to say targeting, but the economic potential. We're not going to cancel you, Jay. Well, okay, so here's the thing. I am not making any controversial points here. I am just saying how it is. There's a lot of controversial things you can't get say on YouTube. But I think the main thing is just, there is a huge potential for an issue. You talk about COVID pandemic shutting down supply lines. There is also a huge potential for a conflict of that. So let's go back to graphics cards before we get in our last 10 minutes. Recap from what we've talked about in the last hour. First off, the biggest thing to talk about here is there's a potential for these cards to be rather good or bad. If they're bad, then they probably won't sell. Say they're only 30%, and by bad I mean 30% better than the last generation, which in previous years has not been bad. It's just that Nvidia has a substantial problem with a lot of surplus of cards. So in order for them to be justified in increasing the price back up to normal, and selling these cards, they would have to make a compelling option, expensive but compelling option. So if it's 30% better, it's not going to sell well. If it's 70 to 80% better, as people have been rumoring, then in that case, you're looking at something that probably might be better and might actually sell. But that would have to be something that's priced similarly. So a 3090 launched for $1,200, or $1,200, and a 4090, if it were to be 70% better and it launched for $1,200, would be good enough that it would justify the price increase. So in that case, basically, it's two potentials here. These cards have to be good. They have to be faster. They have to be substantially faster. If it's 70 to 80%, it would be justified for people to actually purchase these cards. So you want Nvidia to be good, because if this is really the case, and this is really such a large percentage increase without little competition from other companies, it would be good for the industry, and it would push everyone forward. It would push AMD to work harder on their next generation cards. It would push Nvidia, Intel to work harder on the next generation cards. So there is a lot of industry pressure this would create. Now, alternatively, say these cards are, as I said, those 30% better. It's only 30% better, which is, as I said, exceptionally good in past generations. And the reason why I say it's only 30% better and why I think it potentially could be is because in years past, we've seen 20 to 30% increments from each flagship over the past couple generations. The 1080 Ti, 2080 Ti, 3090, all these cards are incrementally better by 30 to 40%. So if we see something along the lines of 70%, we will not have seen anything in the likes of that for years, years and years. So it would take, understandably, this would be the time to do it. This would be the time to put the work in to do it. But I don't expect, that's unreasonable to expect. It's unlikely given what we've seen. I hope it's true. I hope it's that much better, because it needs to be that much better for people to sell cards. But if it's not that much better, then the Nvidia series sadly won't sell. They have to make an extremely compelling offer for them to be worth buying. And I think the fact that they waited till after the crypto crash in order to sell these cards is also kind of weird, because if they were, it would, regardless of if the cards are good or bad, you'd want to put them before the crypto crash. And the fact that they waited to do that, especially when they had the stock apparently to do so, is wild to say the least. They either really are confident in their cards are going to sell good regardless, or somebody done goofed, and I don't know what that is. The 1080 Ti was exceptionally good, and it was a good card, and it was a good upgrade. I had mine for like 5 years. It was good. I'm not arguing with the 1080 Ti. But what I'm saying is that generational increase, generation after generation of 20 to 30%, 40% on a really good generation, we've never seen 70% and 80%. And it is in NVIDIA's best favor to say that there is a 70, 80% leak, because it would encourage people with money to hold off. And people that already had the money in their hands might be like, oh, well, I might as well just go get the new card. And it encourages something like that. So the thing is, I mean, there is so much that could be, like, there's really two paths that this could go down. And the other thing I will warn you guys is NVIDIA may say a lot of things in this. If they are trying to go down the route where their cards are marginally better, they might not put this is, of course, orchestrated by NVIDIA. They might not put all of that in here. We have to be realistic here. If their cards are not good enough, if they're the 30% or 40% better than the last generation, they may advertise it differently, trying to get people to hold off longer while they sell out all the stock. They may be trying to liquidate stock as quick as possible so that they can then bump stock back up the prices normal, so that the 30 series is just as expensive as it was before, or not as it was before, but as MSRP. There's also potential that they're just trying to push it out a little bit to let the supply dissipate and then get profits back up. So do you think they'll compare the 20 series? I don't know about that. I do think, though, there is a serious potential that there's a lot of things they could pull. And I think that I am interested to see, because this is probably the most difficult situation. Back in 2018, we did have a GPU price gouging because of crypto as well. And that was interesting, but the prices had come back down, the supply had come back up, the cost of the cards had come down, all that. So I do think it's very exceptionally likely that there is at least a decent increase in cost if the cards are that good. If the cards are really good, we might see exceptional increase in cost. I'm also gonna get everything going so we're all lined up. So this is also the live stream. I'm not just like sitting here having this conversation, but this is of course the live stream. There is a lot that could happen. Waiting would have been the better idea. 30 series will come a bit cheaper. I think at some point, like, why didn't they wait a year? Like, I mean, these cards have been out for a long time. Like, these cards have been out longer than like most of the cards ever. I think the 1080 Ti was the only one that was just like superseded the longest. It took like 2 years or something for them to release. Then the 2080 Ti came out, and then the 3080 Ti came out. It was so surprising that this has been a long time since the release of the original 30 series. So I'm not implying that like this is surprising, that to say the least. We got 3 minutes left too. But it's surprising that they chose to do it right at the crypto crash. Like, that is probably the worst time that you would choose to release your cards. Like right at a crypto crash, because everyone's trying to sell their cards. No one is going to be able to resell their cards. So say, for example, you want to upgrade, right? I want to upgrade my 3060 Ti. I want to sell that card and get the new card. If the new card is, let's say, we'll just say a 4090 Ti is $1,500, and I have a 3090, I can't sell that for more than like maybe $700. I'm not going to be able to get as high of a card as I would have been post or pre-crypto crash. It would have been more beneficial for them to make it would be more beneficial for them to have done it during the crypto hike. People would resell their cards. There would be a surplus of cards, all that stuff. Than now, because now no one's going to be able to resell their cards and get the money that they would normally do to pay for these cards. So, yeah, I'm going to hop on my headphones so we can get listening. Make sure everything's good to go. Make sure my audio is good. And I think we are getting ready to get started here. So we've got less than a minute to go. We've got a lot to talk about, I'm sure. And I will also be holding something to talk about afterwards as well, because there will be lots to discuss. I've stated what the situation looks like. I've talked about how things can go. I've talked about all of that, so it will be interesting to see. And I think this is getting some. We've got less than a minute now. Refresh. But basically, there's a lot to talk about. Oh, live stream ended 7 minutes ago. Oh boy. Live stream ended 7 minutes ago. No way. Guys, they ended the live stream already, guys. Who believes that? They literally ended the live stream. I guess it was that bad. They couldn't even clickbait. I like that. It's clickbait. I like it. It's clickbait. Oh, it's not available. Oh my gosh. Jeez. It was not good enough that they... Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's see. They ended the live stream. It's not available. Oh my gosh. Okay. I've got a different one. Here we go. This is from the video's website. We'll switch over. Okay. Sorry about that. That was a joke. I'm sorry. Okay. Let me turn down the volume. Can you guys hear everything? How's volume doing? I think that's good. That was pretty funny though. They rug pulled us, I'm sure. Yeah, they rug pulled us for sure. Yeah, nice job in the video. I know. Okay, so let's listen and see what we got here. see what Mr. Henson Zhang has to say. Okay, we've got lots of diamond part sponsors. Let's go. Okay, so let's see.
Computing is advancing at incredible speeds. The engine propelling this rocket is accelerated computing, and its fuel is AI. Today, we will show you new advances in Nvidia RTX, Nvidia AI, and Nvidia Omniverse.
Got it.
Working on loading. These platforms propel new breakthroughs in AI, new applications of AI, and the next wave of AI for science and industry. We will announce new chips that and for the first time, cloud services to extend the reach of Nvidia platforms. I want to thank all the sponsors, partners, researchers, developers, and customers who join us to make this event amazing. Welcome to GTC. I want to show you something amazing. Racer X is a fully interactive simulation.
There we go.
Built with Nvidia Omniverse. Racer X is physically simulated. The lighting, reflections, and refractions are ray traced. Nothing is pre-rendered and baked in. The parts and joints of the cars are individually modeled. Their physical properties affect driving dynamics. Things in the environment are not static props, but rigid body, cloth, and fluid simulations. Smoke, fire, and dust are volumetric simulations. Racer X is a simulation. Future games will not have pre-baked worlds. Future games will be simulations.
Oh boy.
Racer X is running on one single GPU.
This looks really good, actually. We are in a simulation. That's a question for another day. Let me drop the volume a little bit. This looks good though. I like this. This will be a fun game. Yeah, expecting a power cord coming out of the back of the GPU. Heck yeah, man. Power cord out of the GPU, yeah. Rocket League, yeah, I know. Yeah, it looks like a fun game or whatever. It looks more like a fun game. Yeah. RC cars look awesome, man. So the 4000's a racing game. Yep, you're right. Look at that. I mean, it looks very nice. Oh, Legos, let's go. Yeah, let's go. Oh. I like the graphics, they look good. I mean, I don't know where it is, but it looks good. I mean, you can still tell it's a simulation, but I think year by year we're getting closer to that. I mean, yeah. Year by year we're getting much better. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I mean, that looks insane. Like, that light looks great. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh boy. Yeah, this looks awesome. Lego, I paid for this. I'm sure they did. They say if it isn't pre-rendered, I'm very impressed, yeah. I am very impressed too, though. If I didn't notice the game, I would definitely second guess this being real life. Yeah, I know, I would be too.
Let me tell you how we did it. We introduced the programmable shading GPU nearly a quarter of a century ago. GPUs revolutionized 3D graphics and created a medium with an infinite palette for artists. At SIGGRAPH 2018, we launched Nvidia RTX, a new GPU architecture that extended programmable shaders with 2 new processors. RT cores accelerate real-time ray tracing. Tensor cores process matrix operations central to
I agree.
deep
He
learning.
does look fake, like not a real
RTX
person.
opened a new
It's a green
frontier for
screen, though.
computer scientists, and a flood of new algorithms have appeared. A new era of RTX neural rendering has started. Today, we're announcing Ada Lovelace, our third generation RTX.
Here we go, boys.
One Ada GPU powers Racer X. This generation is named after mathematician Ada Lovelace, who is often regarded as the world's first computer programmer. Nvidia engineers worked closely with TSMC to create the 4N process, optimized for GPUs. This process lets us integrate 76 billion transistors and over 18,000 CUDA cores, 70% more than the Ampere generation.
Okay, so we have 70%
Ada
more
involves all
more
three
cores.
RTX processors. First, a new streaming multiprocessor with 90 teraflops, over 2 times the previous generation.
Really good.
Ada's SM includes a major new technology called shader execution
I'm gonna put this
reordering,
camera up here.
which reschedules work on the fly, giving a 2 to 3 times speed up for ray tracing. SCR is as big an innovation as out-of-order execution was for CPUs. Second, a new RT core with twice the ray triangle intersection throughput, and 2 important new hardware units. A new opacity micromap engine speeds up ray tracing of alpha test geometry by a factor of 2 times. And a new micromesh engine which increases geometric richness without the BVH build and storage cost. And third, a new Tensor Core with the Hopper FP8 transformer engine and 1.4 petaflops of tensor processing. Raw ray tracing horsepower is not enough to ensure high frame rates. Ray tracing is notoriously hard to parallelize because rays bounce in every direction and intersect surfaces of various types. GPUs are highly parallel and most efficient when processing similar work at the same time. Ray tracing workloads lead to different threads processing different shaders or accessing memory that is hard to coalesce or cache. Shader execution reordering, SER, improves execution efficiency by rescheduling shading workloads on the fly to better utilize the GPU resources. We're seeing up to 2 to 3 times increase in ray tracing and 25% in overall game performance. Like accelerated computing, computer graphics is a full stack challenge.
I think this is going to be a
Breakthroughs require innovation in architecture and design, as well as algorithms. For example, Nvidia's RTX GI uses ray tracing to do real-time multi-bounce indirect lighting. RTX DI uses ray tracing to do direct illumination from millions of lights, casting shadows from all lights. RTX DI is used for emissive surfaces, such as billboards, TV screens, neon tubes. Nvidia real-time denoisers is a spatial temporal denoising technique that takes an incomplete ray-traced image and infers the ground truth, reducing the number of rays needed. And DLSS, Deep Learning Super Resolution, is one of our greatest achievements. Ray tracing requires insane amounts of computation. Each frame of a CGI movie takes hours to render. We want to do this in real time.
That's pretty
Nvidia
impressive.
RTX opened the world to real-time ray tracing. RT cores do BVH traversal and ray triangle intersection testing, which saves the SMs from spending thousands of instructions on each ray. But even with RT cores, frame rates were too low for games. We needed another breakthrough. Enter deep learning.
This is what they've already
DLSS
advertised.
uses a convolutional autoencoder AI model
why are they advertising
and
what they
takes
already
the
have?
low-resolution current frame and the high-resolution previous frame to predict on a pixel-by-pixel basis a high-resolution current frame. The AI model is trained to predict an ultra-high-resolution 16K reference image. The difference between the predicted and reference image is used to train the neural network. The process is repeated tens of thousands of
So they're
times
just repeating
until
what
the
they've already
network
told
can
us.
predict a high-quality image.
No, DLS3
Ada introduces DLSS3, a new AI that generates entirely new frames rather than just pixels. DLSS3 has 4 components: a new optical flow accelerator, game engine motion vectors, a convolutional autoencoder AI frame generator, and our reflex super low latency pipeline. DLSS3 processes the new frame and the prior frame to discover how the scene is changing. The optical flow accelerator provides the neural network with the direction and velocity of pixels from frame to frame. Pairs of frames from the game, along with the geometry and pixel motion vectors, are then fed into a neural network that generates the intermediate frames. DLSS3 generates entirely new frames without processing the graphics pipeline, boosting game performance by up to 4 times over brute force rendering. Because DLSS3 generates a new frame without involving the game, it benefits both GPU and CPU limited games.
This sounds good.
For CPU limited games,
but this is also
like physics
a lot of
heavy
marketing
or
jumbo.
large world games, DLSS3 allows the Ada GPU to render the game at a much higher frame rate than the CPU is able to compute the game. DLSS3 is one of our greatest neural rendering
I'm
inventions.
all for it, but let's see.
Here is Cyberpunk 2077, shown in all new max ray tracing mode with SCR and DLSS3.
Okay, that's a pretty substantial increase.
Pushing the state-of-the-art graphics into the future
I'm down.
takes an incredible amount of computational horsepower. In a modern game like Cyberpunk, we run over 600 ray tracing calculations for every pixel just to determine the lighting. That's a 16 times increase from the time we first introduced real-time ray tracing 4 years ago.
We need to know watts.
Yet the number of
I agree.
transistors we have available in the GPU to do these calculations have not increased at that rate. That's the power of RTX. We can deliver a 16
I know he's talking
times
so
increase
slow. I agree as well.
in 4 years with artificial intelligence. Some pixels are calculated, most are predicted. Let's enjoy Microsoft Flight Simulator, a game that is CPU limited because of the realistic physics and the giant worlds. It is one of the longest running franchises. This is Flight Sim's 40th anniversary.
Yeah, no, we will not be using
With Ada
ray tracing.
and DLSS3, Flight Simulator is silky smooth.
It looks good. I mean that's doubling the performance and ray tracing. I'm just interested to see what it is for regular games. I mean that's substantial performance. So that's RTX. You're comparing it with no ray tracing to ray tracing. That's not a... I mean, I don't think I would have ever expected ray tracing to be better than DLS. Oh, sorry. Ray tracing would be better without it, but... I mean, it looks good. It looks great.
I'm thrilled to announce Portal RTX. Nvidia Lightspeed Studios used Omniverse to remaster one of the most celebrated games in history.
I mean, that looks cool.
Portal was developed by Valve and released in 2007. It was GDC's Game of the Year and exhibited at the Smithsonian. Portal RTX is both nostalgic and futuristic at the same
RT
time.
on, definitely.
Let's take a look.
Definitely
This
much
was
better.
a triumph. I'm making a note here, huge success. We do what we must because we can.
Man, the Street Corner's been selling RTX 4090s for a week now. Yeah, that was good.
Except the ones who are dead. Welcome to the Aperture Science Computer Aided Enrichment
better.
Center.
It looks a lot better. I mean, it
Cake
still looks...
and grief counseling will
looks
be
like just better
available at the
graphics.
conclusion of the test. The Enrichment Center regrets to inform you that this next test is impossible.
jeez. I mean, Portal is such a fun game, but
What are you doing? Stop it.
yeah, this looks good. It looks great, but it's not. I mean, I'm always interested in the non-RTX.
Portal with RTX is a mod. We did it with Omniverse. Modding is a massive culture. Everyone is a creator. There are millions of modders, and billions of mods are downloaded each year. In fact, 9 of the 10 most popular competitive games owe their existence to mods. We created an Omniverse application called RTX Remix for game modding. Start the game and capture the game into USD, which is loaded into Omniverse.
USDs and dollars?
Here,
let's go.
We're using Elder Scrolls Morrowind from Bethesda, one of the top modded games of all time.
Okay.
Once in RTX Remix, the AI-assisted toolset has deep learning models to upres textures and assets, and an AI model to convert materials to have physically accurate properties. The rich Omniverse ecosystem of creative tools can then be used to enhance the game assets. When done, export the RTX mod pack
Gmod RTX.
and
I
play
mean,
the
hey,
game
I think
with the
all of this has
RTX
the potential to be really good. It looks good. I mean, I think this will be good to make RTX more accessible. That looks awesome, actually. I mean, careful, this is probably cherry-picked. Keep that in mind. These are probably cherry-picked examples. Just be aware. But these look really good.
RTX Remix is incredible tech and the most advanced game modding tool ever created.
It looks
Portal
good.
RTX and RTX Remix will be available shortly after Ada launch. RTX neural rendering algorithms run on programmable shaders, RT cores, and tensor cores to create amazing images.
Okay, this is what we want
The
to
total
see.
processing throughput of Ada is a massive leap over the
dang.
Ampere generation, and the performance
Okay.
shows. For rasterized games, Ada is up to 2 times faster, and it's 4 times faster for ray-traced games.
Oh boy.
Ada is incredibly energy efficient, over twice the performance at the same power compared to Ampere, and you can really push Ada. We've overclocked Ada past 3 gigahertz in our labs.
Dang.
RTX reinvented graphics.
I would say wait
Now
till
Ada is
we get
paving the way
benchmarks. We get
for
benchmarks.
future games to be fully simulated worlds.
If those are true
like
statistics,
Racer
that's
X.
pretty dang good.
Today
Like,
we're
talking pretty dang
announcing
good.
our highly anticipated Nvidia
450
Ada
watts,
Lovelace GPU, the GeForce RTX 4090.
It looks the same.
Nvidia engineers push technologies on every front.
2 to 4 times
New
faster.
SM with shader
That
execution
price is
reordering. New RT core with opacity
price has gone
micromet
up.
and micro mesh engines.
That
New
price is
Tensor core
substantial.
with FP8 transformer engine and a pixel
Okay,
processing.
we'll have to talk about that. We're gonna have to talk
300
about this
TOPS
because this is
optical flow accelerator for DLSS3. Overall, 4 times more processing throughput. Compared to the world's reigning GPU champion, the 3090 Ti, 4090 is 2 times faster on Microsoft Flight Simulator, 3 times faster on Portal RTX, and 4 times
design,
faster
higher price,
on
yeah.
Racer X. The GeForce RTX 4090, the new heavyweight champ,
it looks the
is
same.
$1599.
That's the first time they haven't
Available
changed what it looks
October
like.
12th. The GeForce RTX 4080 comes in 16 gigabyte and 12 gigabyte versions.
Okay.
4080 is 3 times the performance of 3080 Ti on Racer X. 4080 starts at $899.
Okay.
The best gaming platform in the world just got better. Our 30 series, starting at $329, are the best GPUs in the world serving mainstream gamers.
Except you can
RTX
get them.
4090 and RTX 4080 GPUs, starting at $899, deliver the ultimate performance to enthusiasts.
So they're not even
The
releasing
Ada
the 30.
Lovelace generation
they're not-
advances all 3 RTX
They're waiting to
processors,
sell the stock off from the
engines
bottom ones.
of neural rendering. Ada is a quantum leap for gamers and paves the way
They're
for
trying to
creators
sell out the
of
stock.
fully simulated worlds like Omniverse.
I mean, it looks good. Okay, price-wise, here, let's actually have a conversation here. Price-wise, that price is not bad, but also Nvidia has once again increased the price of their flagships like by 50%. So, I mean, yes, this all looks cool, but, yeah. I don't know. 4090 for 1200, and it's 2 times. I mean, if the performance is truly better, that it's 2 times better than a 39D Ti, then yeah, I'm sure that's a decent price. But if it's not 2 times better, then, or it's like, as I said, in practicality, they've always given us like 30% better than previous generation in raw performance. If it truly is what they've said, then yeah, I think that's a decent price. If it's not, which we won't be able to see until the end, then I mean, what we're doing, dropping shares? Like, okay. Anyway, if it's 4 times faster, then sure. Yeah, $1,000, and obviously you're not even keeping in mind scalpers too, being honest. Scalpers will be all over this. Oh, that looks realistic. That looks flat out realistic. Now, people not so much, but I don't know. Yeah, non-Founders Edition will cost a lot more, right? You gotta remember, Nvidia likes to drastically undercut their board partners. Oh boy. Oh, they're making his leather jacket. Yeah. Oh boy. I think it looks good. I'm curious to see how it will play out. I'm curious what the performance numbers
Welcome
look like.
to the Omniverse. The next evolution of the internet, called the metaverse, will be extended with 3D.
Oh boy.
Today's internet connects websites described in HTML and viewed through a browser. The metaverse, the 3D internet, connects virtual 3D worlds described in USD and viewed through a simulation engine.
Oh boy.
Omniverse is a platform for building and operating metaverse applications.
Oh boy.
Omniverse is useful wherever digital and physical worlds meet. One of the most essential uses of Omniverse is robotics. The next wave of AI, where AI interacts with the physical world. Omniverse is like nothing
Metaverse. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Facebook's
is a real-time,
Metaverse.
large-scale 3D database. It is a shared 3D world. Omniverse is a network built on USD. It connects 3D.
Built on, I keep hearing USD and I think
Omniverse
money.
is a computing
built
platform.
on money. Yes, it's built
You
on
can
money.
write applications that run on Omniverse. These applications are like portals into the Omniverse virtual world.
Yeah. Would you buy it,
We've
Jay?
written some Omniverse applications like Create.
I'll probably
and View for
get my hands on one. Will I actually
Replicator
pay for it?
synthetic
Probably
data
not.
generation, and Isaac Sim and
maybe.
Drive Sim
We'll see.
for digital twin simulations.
We'll see if I can get my hands
We are
on one.
releasing a major update to Omniverse. Support for Ada Lovelace GPUs with a giant leap in ray
We'll
tracing.
see. I will get
and
my
large
hands
scene
on one and make a
performance.
video on it. So if you guys
New
want to
GAN-based
subscribe, but I
and
won't. I
diffusion
probably will
model-based
not
neural
keep it.
rendering tools.
I have a,
Omnigraph is a
I have a
graph
source,
execution engine
so
to procedurally control behavior, motion, and action. A major update
I
of
probably can get
Omniverse
one.
physics
Yeah, I'll probably get
to
one
process
at
kinematics
launch,
of
but
complex
I
multi-part
won't keep it
objects.
probably. It's a little too expensive
New
for my
Cloud
liking.
XR for Ada's amazing ray tracing and VR.
Okay, if the performance is
the
2 times
world's
better,
first sim-ready asset library
3090
for
will
synthetic
be
data
like
generation and digital twin simulations.
3090 will be
One of the
probably
most popular applications of Omniverse
$800
is
if it's
Replicator,
actually that good.
which is used to generate synthetic data to train self-driving cars, robots, and all kinds of computer vision models. New Omniverse
RTX
JT connector.
5080. I don't
This
know
is
if we're there
big.
yet.
Siemens invented JT, the industry standard language of product lifecycle management and the interoperability format of CAD systems like NX, Creo, CATIA, and Inventor. The JT connector opens the industrial and manufacturing worlds to Omniverse. Omniverse is an enterprise platform that is useful from the beginning of design and styling through engineering and manufacturing, marketing.
We probably
to
got a good
operations.
bit before the
The entire
5000
product
series is
At the core of making movies or games, building cars or any
Got a
consumer
big good
product,
bet, 5,000.
or building and operating factories and warehouses is a super complex 3D pipeline. Let's take a look at the creative and design process. Many specialized tools are used by expert designers, artists, and engineers working in different teams, organizations,
So the 3D
or
modeling is
geographies,
what I'm more into.
passing
but,
work around. Different data formats are stored all over the company. A visual effects pipeline can use 5 to 7 tools. Each specializes in a certain aspect of the workflow, such as modeling, rigging, animation, or simulations. DNEG,
yes.
an award-winning
Yes,
visual effects
they're
and
delaying
animation
the
studio,
release of the lower end
uses
cards
Autodesk
so that
Maya,
they can
Side Effects
sell out
Houdini,
them
Adobe
first.
Substance 3D, and Foundry Nuke in their workflow.
I just turned in.
Just
Did
as the
left versus
internet
man.
connects websites,
Um,
Omniverse connects 3D worlds. Omniverse
It's really
lets
good, but we'll see.
creators
it's
bring in
supposedly
data from
really good.
different
That's the thing you
tools
got to keep in
in
mind.
their full fidelity
Wait till the benchmarks, everybody. I mean,
collaborate
subscribe if you want
interactively
benchmarks here, but
in a shared Omniverse world.
I'll do some
Teams can
benchmarks.
create
I'll
a
get my hands on
custom
one.
3D
I'll do some
pipeline
benchmarks for
to
you as soon as
orchestrate and
possible.
manage the
But
complex
if you want to
workflow
subscribe for that,
using
but
simple out-of-the-box Omniverse tools. These Omniverse capabilities are valuable to nearly every industry. Nvidia RTX was created by 30 artists using 11 tools, collaborating across 12 time zones, and done in only 3 months. The team used Omniverse to connect and collaborate and create a custom 3D pipeline to orchestrate and
yeah,
manage their
I
work.
think
The architectural
I
design
think I'll get my hands
process
on one.
commonly uses apps like Revit, Rhino, SketchUp, ArchiCAD, and 3ds Max. KPF, an award-winning architectural design firm, connects architects, designers, and clients in Omniverse. Clients can review progress by interacting
Yes,
with a full
the
fidelity
4060 and
photorealistically
4070 has not
rendered
been
model. Auto and other physical product
released
makers
yet, no.
commonly use Siemens, Autodesk, Ansys, and PTC tools. GM is creating a digital twin of their Michigan design studio in Omniverse, where designers, engineers, and marketers can collaborate. Omniverse gives them a single source of truth that is physically simulated and faithfully rendered.
Yeah.
Omniverse is a virtual world used to design, build, and operate things in the physical.
I'm not too interested in this
In the
Omniverse
future,
stuff, but that's not.
Everything made will have a digital twin
I don't know
used
how
by
I
the
feel about
makers to
this.
emulate the behavior and performance of a product in the physical world. No physical product operated by software can be deployed in large numbers without testing the software on its digital twin. Let me give you some examples. Telcos will deploy millions of 5G
Yeah, we'll see.
microcells and towers
We'll see.
over the next 5 years.
We'll see. I'll try to get a
Optimizing the
4090.
placement and operations of new and existing
I'll
cells
try to
and
get a
towers
4090.
can save billions for the $2 trillion telecom industry. Charter,
I'll
a
try to get a
$50 billion
4090.
telecommunications
You want
provider,
to subscribe to get
and
a
Heavy AI, a
4090?
super cool interactive data analytics platform company, are using Omniverse to create
Yes.
digital twins.
Yes, he did
of the
just
4
cut
and
the
5G
performance and
networks
availability
at
of the
metro
ABs.
and
Yes.
nationwide scales.
I wonder why
Heavy
EVJ
AI
left.
uses Omniverse to combine
They probably made sure they had enough
multi-billion point
supply.
LiDAR scans, satellite imagery, buildings, trees, and surroundings, and their RF propagation model to simulate the performance of Charter's radio network
Oh.
in real time. Lowe's is one of the world's largest home improvement retailers, with over 2,000 stores and 300,000 retail associates. Lowe's is using Omniverse to design, build, and
Jeez.
operate digital twins of their stores to optimize operations and enhance the shopping experience. And with the amazing Magic Leap 2 headset, connected to Omniverse,
Oh boy.
associates can enter a mixed physical and Omniverse world to
just
explore
looks
new store
stupid.
designs.
This
The
is- I don't want to say
$300
looks. They
billion
look stupid. but
global railroad market.
Good luck,
helps move
everybody.
the world. A critical
Make sure you
part
subscribe
of
if you're
the
heading
global
out, so
supply
when
chain.
I make my review or whatever.
Deutsche Bahn, the National Railway Company of Germany, uses Omniverse to build and operate a digital twin of 5,700 stations and 33,000 kilometers of track. Omniverse is also used to train AI models that can continuously monitor the railways and trains and recognize hazards and situations that can affect network operations. Deutsche Bahn expects to increase capacity and efficiency of the railway and reduce its carbon footprint without building new tracks. Each of these stories are amazing. Be sure to check out their videos on the Nvidia homepage. There are many great examples of how companies use Omniverse to create digital twins of factories, logistics warehouses, automated manufacturing lines.
It's like
and
machine learning
plants.
stuff, yeah.
Let's take a look.
Okay, I'm gonna just drop the volume down a little bit while we talk about this. So first things first, if you're just tuning in, $1,600 for the 4090. It is supposedly 2 to 4 times better than the 4090 is 2 to 4 times better than the 3090, depending on ray tracing, etc. I do not know how realistic that's going to be, because it depends entirely on like our benchmarks, right? Like that price is what I would expect to be competitive if it was 2 to 3 times better. If it is 2 to 3 times better, then you're going to also see those 3090s be probably about $800 within, I don't know, a couple months maybe. Also, someone pointed out earlier that there is no board partner mention, which is kind of weird, especially since AVJ exited recently, and the fact that they're not even technically advertising or supporting the board partners through their launch. I would not be surprised to see other board partners leave shortly. October 12th, still running an 8-year-old GPU. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I really do think that if it's as good as it is, it's a decent launch. It's not like super good deal, but it's a decent launch. If it's it doesn't say anything about PCI Express 5.0. It didn't mention bandwidth, so I would assume that it's probably not. It didn't mention bandwidth, so I assume it's probably not doing anything too special with Gen 5. What's up, Rob? The performance was ZLS 3.0. It's exclusive for 40 series, I would assume.
There are already 150 connectors to Omniverse. These are the tools and platforms used by the world's $100 trillion industries.
Yeah,
These
so
connectors open Omniverse to companies.
it's the same design, though. It's the same design.
From retail.
We're talking about Omniverse right now. That's not entirely what I'm focused on here.
Media and entertainment.
Graphics cards.
Consumer and luxury goods to supply chain and logistics. Here are some examples of companies who are using Omniverse to connect their teams, visualize their data in full fidelity, generate synthetic data to train AI models, and simulate digital twins. Omniverse is a new computing platform and requires a new computer system. There are 3 elements to the Omniverse computer. RTX computers for creators, designers, and engineers.
I don't think.
To host connections to the Nucleus database.
I don't know. I do think the Omniverse stuff is just, I want to say rebranded VR. That's the best way to say it. Rebranded VR.
Through GeForce Now, we've built a global GDN.
Can my 3070 be upgraded to a real woman, dude? I know it's relatable.
Super fast and responsive RTX graphics.
Well, the design is the same as the last gen. Why would you buy the same design as last gen?
Can stream interactive graphics efficiently.
It's literally just a different font, RTX 3090 or 4090. It's the same cooler. I mean, yeah, sure, if your cooler is good, don't upgrade it, but we've always seen Founder Edition. Well, no, we haven't. We did see a couple years where they didn't upgrade the cooler. Okay. But they are slowly creeping into what the board partners do and not offering much in terms. The cooler is probably thicker. Yeah.
And publishes the Omniverse-based car configurator application to run on Nvidia.
I have a difficulty justifying it.
To be enjoyed on any device.
Nvidia Omniverse Cloud is a suite of software and
okay, so I don't know, can we vote real quick? If we want you to watch this, we can, but I think the biggest thing for me, of course, is that this is not related to graphics cards, really. It's just talking about Omniverse. I think they did announce the 4000 series. Yes, they did. Basically, it's a 4090 for $1,600. It's supposedly like 2 sometimes better. 2 to 4 times better depending on ray tracing, non-ray tracing. I don't know how actually true that is, but all I care about is the modding. The modding looked great, dude. I'm glad some people like the modding. I do not. Those seem, I want to say, unrealistic. I hope it's realistic. I hope that's true. Like, I hope you double the frame rate in games. I hope it makes things not CPU bound. I hope they come up with new creative ideas to do things. But no, I don't really expect the I don't expect it to be a perfect 2 times comparison. I think it might be like 70% in practicality in some games. If we get in games and we start doing our benchmarks, right, and it's like 20 times or like 2 times better in terms of FPS on like 4K, then sure, I think everyone will be down. But if we get to the point where like it's only like 70%, 50% better, and it's costing more than the 3090 did at MSRP, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting, to say the least. But yeah, no, I think it'll be interesting to see for sure. Yeah. I will be surprised if that's the case. I know, it depends on the person, honestly, yeah. Depends on the person.
And metaverse viewers at every edge of the planet, and delivers the possibility to build and operate advanced
I have the volume down so I can talk, but
on any device.
I have the volume down so we can talk, because unless you want to talk about Omniverse, which is basically like...
Today we're announcing Nvidia Omniverse Cloud, an infrastructure as a service.
See, it's an infrastructure that's
Omniverse
not...
applications running in the
Basically,
cloud,
it's jumping on the Facebook
on a device. In
Omniverse
addition,
bandwagon.
Replicator and Farm will also be available in the cloud.
Should wait for the 4090.
Farm is a scaling engine for a render farm. Omniverse Cloud, Replicator. And
Yeah, everything will be probably limited. Anything that was shown today, like DLSS 3.0 and all that stuff, will definitely be for 4000 series exclusive. I'm positive.
Robotics is the next wave of AI.
Yeah.
Breakthroughs in deep learning has opened the door to creating systems that can perceive their surroundings,
Yeah.
plan a sequence of actions, and perform useful tasks.
There's never
in
going to
real
be
time.
another Titan, likely. They don't have...
Everything from the way software is developed
They won't.
to how it runs is completely different. A new type of processor had to be created. NVIDIA's Xavier was the world's first robotics processor designed for deep learning. Since then, every 2 years, we've announced a giant leap in performance. The driving force of the increased performance is the simultaneous increase in number and resolution of sensors and more sophisticated AI models needed to expand driving domains and improve safety. Safety is the #1 priority in robotics, and it demands diversity and redundancy in sensors and algorithms. All of that demands more processing. Last year, we introduced Atlan, a 1,000 TOPS SoC. Today, we're announcing that Atlan is no more and will be replaced by Thor, twice the throughput of Atlan and more than twice the delivered performance. There are 3 big reasons we did that: Grace, Hopper, and Ada Lovelace. The incredible transformer engine of Hopper and the fast evolution of vision transformers is too important not to include in our next
It's okay.
robotics
I mean,
processor.
honestly, I'm a little...
The invention of multi-instance GPU in Ada
It's good.
is a great opportunity to centralize
His little
the
jacket
power
gives
compute,
away. It looks like ridiculous
reducing
grandpa.
hundreds of dollars of cost.
Liking Intel and
And
Nvidia
the
stuff,
CPU of
honestly.
Grace is too amazing
Has
to
Intel
pass
posted
up.
something recently?
As all parallel processing algorithms
Catch
are
up on stuff.
offloaded and accelerated by our GPU,
So I gotta get back to
the
homework and
remaining
classes,
workload
but...
tends to be single-threaded limited. Grace has excellent single-threaded performance. So engineers at NVIDIA scramble to create Thor. The amount of new technology in Thor is insane. Thor can be configured in multiple ways, can dedicate
And
all
you
of
see
its
me is actually running in our
2,000
software. That would be cool,
and
but
2,000 teraflops to an autonomous driving pipeline.
it is kind of blurry.
Or
I'd noticed
it
that.
can be configured to use a portion for cabin AI and infotainment and a portion for driver assistance.
I hope
Thor's
AMD can match.
multi-compute domain isolation
I hope AMD
lets
can match,
concurrent
but
time-critical
I don't know.
processes run without interruption.
That's a
On one
substantial
computer,
increase
can
for AMD.
simultaneously run Linux, QNX, and Android. Thor centralizes
What's the chances we get a
numerous
card for
computers
non-scalp
and
prices?
simultaneously
0,
offers a
man.
leap in capability
Scalpers,
while reducing cost and power.
for the scalpers, it's not
Parking,
smart, but I
active
don't think
safety,
scalpers are smart. I mean, you
driver
look at the Facebook
monitoring,
Marketplace right now, and you're
camera
seeing
mirrors,
what smart looks like.
posture, and infotainment are different
I'd
computers.
rather go with Intel or
In the
AMD
future,
given the EVGA
these functions
fiasco,
will
but
no
that's just
longer be
my
separate computers,
my opinion.
but will be delivered by software that runs on Thor and improves over time. Building robotic computers requires 2 computers. An AI factory in the data center that processes data, trains the AI, simulates the digital twin, and maps the world. And an AI computer in the car that processes the sensors to perceive the environment,
Yeah,
stay clear of obstacles, and
it's like-
drive the car to its destination. Nvidia Drive is an end-to-end platform for a
So
autonomous
that's the
vehicle
whole gaming
development
thing,
and
sure.
deployment.
$1,000.
For development,
Ah.
Drive includes Replicator synthetic data generation, Nvidia AI infrastructure, Drive Sim, and Drive Map.
Okay, so I'm gonna take the pause at least and just talk for a little bit because they're not really doing much in talking about artificial driving in context of what we're talking about here, which is graphics card. So basically, let's talk about a couple things. First off, $1,600 for the RTX 4090. You're going to be getting 2 to 3 times performance increase, I guess. So it's going to be a question of how true that is. If it's true is in the sense that you open up any game and you get 2 times performance increase, then I think it's justifiable at that price, especially if like $1,000 for a 3090 Ti and you're getting 2 times the performance with a 4090. I think that's justifiable. However, if we're looking at something along the lines of, I don't know, maybe realistically you only see 50% improvement, that's going to make the 3090 Ti's a lot more valuable.
We are supercharging Drive Sim with a neural reconstruction.
He was talking about ray tracing performance. Yeah, I know, with 4 times. I know, but like in most practicality, not everyone uses the ray tracing. Like for me as a creator, I play like what I like to do is I like to play Minecraft. I play like a lot of simple low graphic games, honestly. I'm not a big fan of shooters. That's nothing wrong with first person shooters at all, but that's just not what I play. And so as from my perspective, I don't really justify having ray tracing, paying extra money for these ray tracing features if I am just playing like Minecraft and video editing. I prefer like the video encoders and stuff like that. But like, I really do think that like it is probably worth buying, but like I think that Nvidia is going to run into the issue where if someone wanted to sell their 3090, then I mean, it's going to be harder for them to resell it, especially with these cards coming out. It would have been better for them to have released this during the crypto mine than it would be, or the mining period, than it would be to do it now. And I just think that a lot of people are going to struggle reselling their cards and getting decent money for them if they post it now. So I mean, yeah, I'd like Minecraft to improve in 2 times FPS. That'd be great. Minecraft is horrendously unoptimized. So,
including challenging scenarios.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
By Omniverse and AI.
I mean, like, honestly, a lot of this is just, I mean, cool features, but I think a lot of us are here just for the graphics cards, and I have difficulty justifying, you know, some of the stuff if we don't have benchmarks. Well, yeah, we don't even have games that utilize the 30 series cards. I mean, that's what I'm saying is, if you have RTX and your RTX is only used by like half the games, and like, honestly, do you really care if RTX is used in some of these like games? Like, do you really care if RTX is used in Minecraft, or RTX is used in like Fall Guys, or RTX is used in like low graphic 2D games? No. So it's ultimately it ultimately boils down to that frame rate and the refresh rate and all that stuff, because of the refresh rate for those kind of games. For the fancy new titles, sure, RTX would be great. The modding stuff, so you could mod your games and look like RTX, sure, that's great. But it's not implemented into enough games that it's practical. I mean, they're pushing hard, sure, but it's not implemented into enough that it's
We are extending
justifiable.
Nvidia Drive Sims platform to create a digital twin of the car's interior.
Do we think it's
with
like,
full
honestly,
hardware-in-the-loop
guys,
support.
you were asking me a
Nvidia
lot of
Omniverse
questions
is the platform
about
that
should I
brings this all
upgrade,
together.
and that depends
Designers and engineers
entirely
work side by
on
side to
how
perfectly integrate
the
the
launch
physical
goes.
design with the
Like
digital
if this
interface.
card is, I want to say,
Before the actual
mediocre
car exists.
in comparison to previous gen, then it is not.
Sure.
It would be better to get a 30 series card. If this is,
Okay. Let's
um,
try this.
we'll just say like this, say the card is really good, then it might be, it might still be worth it if the prices come down. Like it's all dependent on what happens in the future. And I can tell you that I think, okay, if we take everything at face value, then yeah, sure. I think it would be better to get, I think the 30 series cards will come down and that's a reasonable price. I think the 3090 Ti's will have to be like $600, $700 at some point. And I think that would be reasonable. But that's all predictions that I don't know how happen. Like there's a lot of things that can happen. And Nvidia has had this wild thing in the past where they've like had these great numbers and then they've kind of been a little less, like I say 30% less. So I don't know how that's going to go. And just wait till we get reviews. I'll make a review on it. I'll at least try to. But no, I think it'll be interesting to go through and do. What power do you supply? Well, he says the same power as last gen's, 450 watts for the top tier. So yeah. Yeah, we'll see. And they're still pushing automated driving too, which automated driving, I don't know if I trust it. But no, I think right now he's just talking about cars. So but yeah, no, I think if we get 4 times FPS, sure, I'll be down to buy it. If you get 2 times FPS, sure, I'll be down to buy it. But yeah, and I think ultimately it depends. Oh boy.
Would you like me to navigate there?
Yes, please.
Beginning drive pilot.
Oh boy. I'm gonna turn this up because this looks... The car is driving. Oh boy. I don't know. I mean, this looks... I don't know, this looks interesting. I mean, honestly... Sorry, I'm not trying to pause this. I'm trying to mute this a little bit. Yeah, it looks cool and all, but like, I don't know. I don't know, man. That looks... That avatar did not do it for me. I mean, sure, it's using all the cameras. Sure, it's doing all that stuff. Yeah, it looks cool and all, but like, man, at least Crysis is playable. Oh, and it's got a drive sim. Oh, is it running a drive sim? Okay. Yeah, Apple Car when? Yeah, I keep waiting for the Apple Car. Imagine how expensive that's gonna be. It's like $100,000. Yeah, Tesla showed this off like 4 years ago. Yeah, that assistant was creepy. Yeah. We're gonna get test dummies for this? I don't know. Enhanced 3D scene. So this is running in a simulator. It's doing all this in a simulator. Like, yeah, sure, that's nice. You're showing me like all this stuff. I mean, that's cool and all.
You have arrived.
I mean, that's cool and all, but like, I don't think we'll get to the point where we have enough trust on that. Oh, I love how we have people saying that I'm like fanboying over Nvidia. I don't think I've said anything fanboy at all. I've been practical and skeptical, so.
Orin is our 2nd generation processor designed specifically for robotics, and it is a home run. Orin is the computing engine of autonomous vehicles and has been
Portal RTX looked cool, man. It looked cool.
Cars, trucks, robo-taxis, and shuttles. The fundamental processing pipeline for autonomous vehicles can be applied to all kinds of robotic systems. Jetson, is our robotics computer with 1 million developers and used by some 6,000 companies, including 1,000 startups. Amazon, Boeing, Canon, Microsoft, Shopify, and Teradyne are among the many companies building robots with Jetson. We're working with the industry on amazing robots, from pick and pack robotic arms to agriculture robots, AMR autonomous mobile robots, to last mile delivery.
I'm like, okay, this is okay.
Today, we're announcing the Jetson Orin Nano, a tiny robotics computer that is 80 times faster than our previous super popular Jetson Nano.
Okay.
Jetson Orin Nano runs the Nvidia Isaac robotics stack and features the ROS2 GPU accelerated framework. There are robots that move, and there are robotic systems that watch.
Why no kitchen in the background? Yeah, I know.
Metropolis
it's on a green
is
screen.
our edge AI platform.
This is like talking about cars stuff. Okay, here's a vote. Here's a vote. How many of you guys are in favor of continuing to watching? Because we can keep on going. How many people want to continue watching? Talking about car stuff, car graphics cards, pretty much. Or do we want to take a serious deep dive and talk about stuff seriously? Okay.
Orin is also the robotics processor of
Oh.
industrial grade IGX Edge AI platform that Metropolis.
That's a full CPU.
Today, we're announcing that Siemens.
Okay, deep dive. Okay. I'll mute this,
company,
and then we can keep this going. So, first off, 4090. So I'll increase this a little bit. I'll decrease this. Put this down here. Increase this. And I'll leave this down in there and switch the cameras up. Okay. So. Come on, buddy. Okay. So, things to talk about. 4090. You're looking at $1,600 for something that supposedly is, I'll make sure I'm like not cutting myself off here. So $1,200, what is it? $1,600 for 4090, which is supposedly 2 to 4 times better. 2 times better in raw games and 4 times better in ray tracing. Problem is, that's not us playing games and getting those numbers. That's Nvidia telling them to us. So price at that range, if it truly is 2 times better than the 3090 Ti, then in that case, it's definitely better than the $1,000, and currently you can get it on the market, 3090 Ti. I think that's a justifiable price. But I don't know, like, I don't think, as someone mentioned earlier, the games are not optimized enough for that. So we may not even get full usage out of it. In addition, it's just going to be hard to justify in some circumstances without benchmarks on whether or not you should upgrade. A lot of you guys have been asking me like, oh, is this worth my upgrade? Should I upgrade? All this stuff. No, it's not. There's no way for me to tell you that. I'm not going to be a bad person and tell you that like you should upgrade without even seeing the cards. I will try to do my best to get my hands on one. So if you want to subscribe and you want to get your hands on some, sure. But I think ultimately, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things go. I think definitely it's still 24 gigs. It depends. It really depends on how things play out. I think if the benchmarks, we get the benchmarks, and it's like 2 times, my guess is like 70% better. Not 2 times better, 70% better. My guess. And just standard games, non-race RTX. And maybe like 3 times better in the average user circumstance. I think that's reasonable given what it's priced. But it's going to be very difficult to compel people when it's not really, like, 'cause I've noticed in the past, Nvidia has always made their cards just as, it's just as expensive. Like basically the 3090 Ti is like $1,000 right now. So you can get that for $1,000. And the 4090 will probably be like, as already said, is going to be $1,600. And if it's only 70% better, is that really worth justifying the price? Like, sure, you could, like, yes, that's a good price range. Like, it technically is 70% closer to 70% more than It costs 70% more than the 3090 Ti that you can buy right now, and it's 70% better, except that you're also taking into account that you can't necessarily sell your 3090 Ti to get the 4090 because there's oversaturation in the GPU market. So I think that's going to bite a lot of people, is that they're going to want to sell and get the new cards, and they're not going to be able to sell their cards for as much as they would beforehand. So I think it's going to create a situation where these cards are, in my opinion, even if they are, my guess is that they are going to still sit on the shelves a good bit longer. I mean, yes, it's 70% of the price, and my guess is 70% better in most game circumstances, like in your average game. So I think that's going to be 70% more price, 70% better. It's not really offering a value proposition to people that wanted something for like $1,000. They wanted something that was like the same, something that got them 2 times the performance at $1,000. That's not really the case. It's just adding another tier on top and kind of lowering the price down of the other cards. So if you have a 3090 Ti and you're getting and the 4090 is 70% better at 70% more the cost roughly, then it's not really justified for people to upgrade, especially when you have that GPU crash and there's surplus of GPUs, and you probably won't be able to sell that for like that 3090 that you paid $1,000 for. You might not be able to sell it for like $700. I'm guessing it'll probably fall to like $700 now. So yeah, there is a lot to ask yourself, and I think that it will have to see what the benchmarks are, because the benchmarks come out and depending on how much performance that is. But I don't see these cards selling well in practice. My guess is I don't see these cards selling super well. I mean, nothing was going to sell well. And I mean, 70% better is good, and maybe 2 times better in ray tracing, 3 times better. But I really don't expect these to like be selling out. And I think that, there's a lot of cool technologies he's talked about, but I think it might be a bit before you see the practicality of these and these become a viable option. And I think that Nvidia still is up on its high horse almost, and that they think that there's going to be a lot of demand when most of, like I would say 90% of the people that buy a graphics card sell their previous graphics card. Like, am I wrong for saying that? Like 90% of people, when you want to go upgrade your graphics card, let me go sell my old one. I think that's a pretty standard thing to say. Like, so I think for us to have, for that to be practical, it's not right now. It's not right now. You're not going to be able to sell your graphics card for what you think you are, and that's going to mean that people are going to not be able to buy these. And these are going to be more out of reach than they were in the past. So these should be cheaper than they were before. But instead, they're more expensive. Instead of being $1,200 like the 3090 was, it's $1,600 for the 4090, and you've increased that a good bit. I mean, it's not. I mean, you can fanboy over that. These cards are great. Like, I'm not arguing that technology increased, but when you increase the price at a time in which people don't have the money, and especially when we're supposedly going into recession, I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be practical, and I don't think they're going to sell as well as they think they do. And I do expect that, especially since they supposedly have a large amount of stock too, I think that you might be able to hold off a month or two, and Nvidia realize that they might not be selling as much cards as they think they should, and they will probably come down in price. I think that I expect maybe within 3 months, given the market right now, you're looking at maybe having these cards drop. I would expect maybe $1,400 would have been a good price for the 4090, especially because you have inflation and stuff. That's understandable. And I think that would have made it a much more value proposition, depending on it. I'm taking the numbers at historical trends and face value. Well, yes, but like, I think a lot of people will be selling stuff for cheap, and I think we'll see. Well, I am not like, this isn't financial advice, this is anything, but like, looking at trends, and not in the stock market, but in graphics cards, you have to ask yourself, if it's only 70% better performance, likely, given historical trends of what they've said on the, because I've watched all of these for the last 4 or so generations now of cards. I've watched the announcement videos. They always have performance that's 70% of what they advertise. The RTX performance is 4 times, so we'll take it as 3 times. The regular gameplay is 2 times, so we'll take it at like 70% better. The simple fact is they probably at 70% better and at 70% of the more cost, it is not really worth it for the average person who's looking for a value proposition to go for that card. I mean, sure, people always buy the most expensive thing, and that's not a fact. But also, given the time and the market, people can't sell their cards to get that money because normally, as we already talked about, people will go through, they'll resell their old card, sell their 3080 Ti to use that money to buy the new card. The problem is they maybe paid $1,200 for that in the crypto during the height of the crypto like craze and stuff, and now they can't sell that for more than $600, $400, $500, especially after these come out. People will all be wanting the new ones. So it's not going to be realistic for people to be able to buy that. Like, they're going to just not be able to afford that, especially during a recession. So not only will they be able to sell their cards for less, but it will be a recession. So I don't see, and I'm sorry, realistically, a recession is very likely. So it's just they're not going to sell well. And I think that given 3 months afterwards, Nvidia will probably realize that, especially because we'll be on the height of the so-called recession that's oncoming around end of this year. So I think at that time, I definitely do expect these cards to come down. So if you have money in your pocket right now and you're waiting on getting these cards, I would say everyone, and I have never said this before, everyone should wait on getting these cards until we have benchmarks. Don't pre-order, because there is a lot to ask yourself. Value proposition. Wait till you get the benchmarks. I don't think I ever tell people to pre-order, but like especially don't pre-order for this, because these claims are really great and I would like to believe them, but I also think that the value proposition is just not justified. If what they've said is true and based off historical trends. So I think we're gonna wrap it up here. So I at least like wrapping up. I think they're wrapping up too. I've got some classes to work on, but I just don't pre-order, because you're in a situation now where you, the consumer, have the advantage. You, the consumer, have the advantage over Nvidia. You have the option to choose their old stock, and they done goofed. They made a lot of stock, and they made way too much actually, and that's floating around now. So think about it. You have the value. There is nothing wrong with waiting. Do not pre-order. I'm the only reason I'd pre-order is because I need to make the video for you guys. Or actually, I probably won't pre-order. I'll get it from a friend or something that will buy it for himself, and then I'll just make a video on that. So pre-ordering is not good in this situation. The 30 series was definitely, it was the GPU craze. That was a good time to pre-order. Not going to argue with that. This time, I don't think you should pre-order, because simply they've said some really nice things, but those really nice things could easily be probably like 30% less. And in that case, at 30% less, and the fact that they've upped the price pretty substantially, not $1,400 like I was hoping, they've upped it to $1,600 at something that is honestly, yeah, the performance is better, but you're also competing against a recession. You're competing against prices. It'll be interesting. They're still talking about cars, but thankfully they put that on the beginning of the video. You can already get $300 3070s, which is great. If you guys want to subscribe so that whenever I make my video for the new graphics cards, that will be out. But for the most part, I'm just taking a look on Facebook Marketplace now. Graphics card. So how much are we getting for graphics cards? We got 3070s for 3060s for $300. 3070s for $400. Yeah, I've had fun messaging all these people that are selling their mining rigs, offering them ridiculously lowball numbers. Sorry, that's been something I've been working on. But I think the question to ask yourself really is whether or not it's justified. And no one should pre-order this, given the recession, given the fact that there's so many cards on the market, and given the fact that we don't actually have concrete performance numbers, because this is exactly what Nvidia would want to do if they were in this position. Because if you were in a position of weakness, that you have a lot of stock, you're competing with your previous gen cards, you would want to say, hey, you want to make a product that's really good. But yeah, I really do think that we're at a really weird predicament. 4090 is $1,600, $400 more than the 3090 when it released, for supposedly 30% or what is it, 70%? They claimed 20% or 2 times better and 4 times better in ray tracing. So 2 times general performance and 4 times better performance. However, practicality wise would tell us, and historical trends would tell us, whatever I've watched all these, I've watched the last 4 of these, it's probably going to be about 30% worse than whatever they've told us. So you're looking at maybe, we'll just say, yeah, it's also the power usage is going to come into cost too. You're not only are you paying $400 more, but you're probably paying $100 a year in power too. Keep that in mind. I mean, if you're gaming seriously. So yes, you're getting 70% better, but 70% more than what you currently could get a 3090 for. So it's really like, if okay, for alternative timeline too. If you come out and this card is, I don't know, 2 times better, flat out 2 times better, and 4 times better in ray tracing, and a lot of games implement ray tracing, and all that stuff happens. Well, that's going to take time, so still wait. But all that happens, I mean, that would make it more compelling. But in practicality, my 100% best educated guess, the card is 70% better. It costs 70% more than what you could currently get on the market. And in that case, you're not going to be able, it's not going to be worth you to upgrade. Why is it not going to be worth you to upgrade? Because if you're selling your old card, 90% of everyone really does. Everyone sells their card before they upgrade. You're selling your old card, you're not going to be able to get anywhere close to what you think you're going to be able to get to it because the market is saturated. And you want to sell it to get the new card, you're going to get probably like 3090s or TIs are already going for like $900. 3080s, 3070s are like $400, $300 on marketplace. So if you're selling your old thing, you're not even going to pay for a third of these cards. Not everyone's going to be able to buy these cards. So Nvidia has, in my opinion, underestimated the state of the market, especially because oncoming recession, people can't sell their current cards to upgrade, and they've increased the price. Like, out of all the circumstances, I think if they had gone up by $200, $1,400, and just from the default 3090, I think we'd be looking at something that would have been practical. I do not think this is realistic, or practical for them to release this card. The prices will at some point come down because, especially with the oncoming recession, the bad timing of putting it after the Ethereum crash, like, we have the largest surge of graphics cards we have ever had. And I expect prices, especially after this announcement, more people will try to sell their cards. I expect to see massive surplus. I expect 3090 Ti's to be like $800 within a week or two. Yes, I really expect $800, maybe $700, and realistically, $700, maybe even $650 during the end of the year for 3090 Ti's. So for them to say they're going to release this card that is $1,600, and you to have 3090s that are $650, that's just not going to, like, people have, like, I don't think you guys underestimate, like, there's so many cards that are sitting around right now and everyone's trying to sell. So yeah, $650 for a 3090 Ti is a real bargain. And I don't think that Nvidia selling this for $1,600 is even competing with any of that. Like, I don't see anyone in the right mind would pay for 70% better performance for, if not 120% the price, not double the price. Like, why would you? The cost to benefit analysis really just says there's no justification there. So, I mean, this card is great, and I think I want to underestimate too. In any other circumstance, this is a great release. Like, this is a massive increase in performance, assuming what they've said. In any other circumstance, it's great. It's just we're in the largest GPU surplus ever. So Nvidia would have had to come out hard hitting. And I feel like they came out, I want to say mid-range, mediocre maybe is the right word. They did a great job with the product, but this is the worst time to sell a graphics card, period, in history. I don't think anyone will disagree with me that this is the worst time to sell a graphics card. I would, regardless of what you're doing, I would wait. Because if you can wait. Because if you give it a month or two, likely Nvidia will realize the market is a little less than they expected and drop the price maybe. the used market is going to be in free fall. Like, I don't think we understand. We still haven't even felt the full effects. Ethereum emerged like what, last week, 2 weeks ago? We still not felt the effects of the fact that there are miners. I have literally opened my Facebook marketplace and there's like the whole page is full of people selling their mining rigs. All of those cards not even been sold out yet. You're still got people there thinking they're going to get 20, 50% more than their cards are actually worth on marketplace. Once those drop down and people realize they've really messed up and those cards start dispersing, you're going to see those prices in free fall. So it is not going to be something that is a bad idea to wait. Out of everyone, not a bad idea to wait. You could wait, give it 2 months, 3 months, the cards will release, price will come in free fall. 3 months. Honestly, if you have the money now, if you set it aside, put it in savings, do something with it, invest it, because if you give it 3 months and by the end of the year, we're going to be in a recession. People are going to be selling everything because they need the money. They're going to have these cards, the GPU prices are going to stabilize. It's going to kind of get to this lowest point in free fall. You're going to have these cards are going to be out for a bit. People are going to know performance numbers. You're going to know whether or not it's a good choice to buy. Nvidia might even lower the prices to realize how much they had and how much they didn't sell. So those 3 factors make it a good idea just to wait. And I think that if you buy it and you pre-order, this is a really, this could go a lot of different ways, and pre-ordering is not the smart idea. Actually, if you pre-order, you give Nvidia the idea that you're actually that their card is actually worth buying. If you don't pre-order and everyone doesn't pre-order, then Nvidia thinks that they're not going to sell as much cards and they'll lower the price anymore. So, and the fact that they didn't even release their lower end cards knows that they didn't even have anything to compete with the lower end 40 series cards. They didn't even have anything to compete with the current stuff on the market, because the 4070s, or sorry, the 3070s, the 3060s are all in literal free fall. Like, you're going to be able to get things for like $100, I'm sure, at some point. So, and I mean, the fact that we're still going on this, I'm going to kind of call it up, because wrap it up, because I think we're going to, I mean, I've got classes to study for. I think, so in conclusion, the last thing I want to talk about is the board partners were not even mentioned in this, which means that, in my opinion, I think Nvidia thinks they have enough stock that they themselves can supply it to everyone. So that should tell you all you need to know, that Nvidia thinks it has enough stock. I think you will find board partners will be, EVGA exited the market because they realized how much cards they were not going to sell. And it was financially unfeasible for them to make all these cards. And that's why they left the market. And I think they expected to lose more money from the graphics cards than they would have gained otherwise. So EVGA left the market. I think that's reinforcement that this is going to be a downward trend. For you, the consumer, you lucked out. You've got the best time to buy a graphics card. You had the worst time last year, the best time now. So I think in conclusion, I think that's what we're going to talk about. Consider AMD. I find it unlikely AMD with a smaller graphics department to be able to compete and put up a similar number. I love AMD, but it is in practicality, I don't think AMD is going to compete with 70% or the numbers that basically Nvidia pulled. I don't think they will. I think they will probably be about 30% less. I think it's about 30% less that AMD will be able to pull, and Intel will probably still be behind. I'm thinking maybe 50% less. So, and that is practicality, historical trends. I hope I am wrong. Like, please do not think that I am expecting Nvidia to be better. I'm looking at historical trends. AMD has always fallen slightly behind Nvidia, and Nvidia has a lot more resources, and they made a big jump this generation, assuming this is true. So I think that Intel has never done this before, so I have no idea what to expect, but I would assume, since this is a new technology they're working on, and their drivers are apparently not the best currently, from what I've watched on like Linus and stuff, I think it's just practical to expect that Nvidia probably is the best card this cycle, but is not the best choice. The new Nvidia cards are not the best choice. So, yeah. Basically, if you guys want to subscribe, I will be going through and getting my hands on these cards. I won't necessarily be purchasing them. I'll get them from a friend or whatever who's going to buy them. And then I will use that as to make my video. And then I'll probably just, guys, find some 3090 Ti that's on Marketplace for like $600 to $700 in a month. And I'm literally speaking what I'm going to do. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. So please don't think that you are going to miss out on anything. I will subscribe. When will it release? You're probably looking at, so it said October 12th. I'll probably get it on my hands somewhere around that time. Also, keep in mind, I don't just do like deep dive tech stuff. Believe it or not, I actually do a lot of scam investigations, a lot of funny, silly stuff. Working on doing like broadening up some things, but no, my roots are definitely in background. Actually, funny enough, my roots are actually in like silicon design. I'm a student right now, so I'm doing like silicon design stuff, like basically the stuff that like graphics cards, like circuit level design, circuit level design, graphics cards, actually designing silicon stuff like that. So working at graphics card companies would be something that I'll probably be able to do in a couple years after I finish up my master's. But no, so that's my background. Is I'm not just some dude making comments about graphics cards. I do understand a substantial bit about like what goes on in the background here, but I do think Intel will be at a substantial loss, at least for a couple years. And I don't know if Intel is going to be able to hold out on their losses long enough for the shareholders to get after them. Because I think they're going to have to, if you're going to enter the GPU market, you're going to lose money for like the first 5 years. AMD is still losing money. And I think it's even more practical now that AMD is, while yes, is a better price proposition, is still cheaper, or still a inferior product ultimately at the end. And I'm not saying inferior price to performance. I'm saying inferior. If you take the top tier AMD and top tier Nvidia, they still are. AMD is still losing that battle. They need to make something that's competing with Nvidia. And after this, Nvidia did a great job. I just think they did not price it accordingly. Anyway, so if you guys want to make sure you subscribe, I appreciate it. We're gonna call it a quits shortly. So subscribe if you want to see that. Also, please feel free to check out the channel. And there's also another thing. You don't have to subscribe. I appreciate everyone that was in here. And I appreciate everyone that's been talking, contributing to the conversation. But there's really nothing for me to talk about more here. I do a lot of scam investigations. Feel free to look at some of the stuff. Heck, I got a parachute from Wish, and we're gonna try that out. So there's some things that are coming, but also feel free to check out the channel and know that it's not just Nvidia stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that too. Parachute from Wish.com. Yes. I purchased that parachute from Wish, and I'm going to try it. Oh yeah, it's I'm not going to be using it. I'm going to be dropping a phone or something for, and I probably will find some 4090 on Wish, and we'll review that too. So feel free to subscribe. If not, I enjoyed my brief time with hanging out with each one of you, and thank you for making this an enjoyable live stream. I haven't done this in over a year, so I feel free to subscribe if that's kind of your thing, and if not, there's absolutely nothing wrong with subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and having a good time. Yes, there will be a parachute from Wish. There will be a parachute from Wish. I actually here. Where is it? I will find it. Here it is. There is a parachute from Wish. I kid you not. This is actually showing up in the mail. This is the parachute. It's not much. So anyway, subscribe. There's a sneak preview. You get a preview of a video that I haven't even recorded yet. Yeah, no, a parachute from Wish. It's subscribe, because that's going to be coming out at some point, probably in the next, maybe in the next 2 weeks. But anyway, thank you very much, and I appreciate each and one of you for tuning in. Yes, I know, and they didn't update the shroud too, but I appreciate you guys. Thanks, guys. I got classes to get to. I got homework to do. Thank you guys very much for watching. Have a great day. And also, if you're interested, I'm going to take one last plug. If any of you do play Minecraft, I have a Minecraft server that basically is application only. And it if you want to hop out, I'm going to drop it from a drone. So, but that would be if you want to join the Discord server to play Minecraft. That's my personal whitelisted Minecraft server, that I actually play on. You can apply to join if you're interested. Other than that, hope you have a wonderful day, and I'm going to workplace pin message. It's in the pin message now. And make sure to join the Minecraft server if you're interested. It's the pin message. And other than that, I deeply appreciate every one of you guys joining today. So join that Minecraft server if you want to hang out with me. Otherwise, subscribe if you want to see wish.com parachute. That's right here. And other than that, have a great day. And thank you for I've already done so many recaps, man. I'll post the live stream unlisted, and then you can watch it over again. Anyway, thanks guys. Have a great day.